Now it's time for the
The Ridonculous
Ridonculous
race.
race. Okay, so yeah, we're finally at the end of our run for now with the Total Drama franchise. So overall, I like I said to you in the Discord, like I have enjoyed this, and after we've taken a break, I would love to do like another like franchise, whatever that is.
Yeah, we've had a couple ideas cooking. I know you've mentioned to me Ben 10, Red Dwarf, Avatar,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I was like debating like if it should be Avatar, considering like it if we did it, it would be like at the perfect point because next year supposedly we're meant to be getting like the new Avatar series.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll figure out what we're gonna do at a later date. But for now, let's just talk about the Redonkulous race. So overall, and I'm sorry to say this, Vex, saying it right at the beginning, but I honestly enjoy Don a lot more than Chris as a host, simply for the fact that Don has not made me want to split hairs at all throughout the Redonkulous race.
Uh, Fair enough. So on, if I had to criticize anything about Dawn, is that sometimes he can be a little lenient when it's convenient for him.
Yeah, well, to be fair, to play devil's advocate, that Chris was like that a lot. If you really think about it.
Yeah, fair
So
enough. Chris is still like that actually.
yeah, yeah. But also as well, what I think makes this stick out as like one of the more unique. Well, obviously the idea of it just being a race around the world. But what makes it stick out is the fact that it's not just teenagers now. It's like you get a variety of contestants, and I feel like that plays a lot to an advantage this season has over like the regular Total Drama series, like exploring more of because the characters in Total Drama were competitive, but in this series we have quite a few like, oh no, they are like super like yeah, like okay, to put it into context for people, you've obviously seen like the meme of the rage person who just smashes their keyboard. You've seen that, like that clip of someone just like rage quitting and smashing their keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get that here with quite a few people. Most notably, the ice dancers. Like the ice dancers are like something like the sorest losers ever.
And sorest winners.
Oh yeah, I feel like as much as we bash sore losers, sore winners are like even worse.
I can concur.
Yeah. But this leads to a major criticism that I have with this season, because we get the return of some old faces from the initial Total Drama lineup, and one face from Parker Tail Island.
Yep.
We've got Leonard. We've got Leonard for 2 episodes, and then he's gone again. But also we have Owen, Noah, and Jeff from the initial lineup, and this is where a major criticism that I have with the season. Like, you have these 3 characters who, Owen and Jeff especially, like, who have this history with each other. There's not one point in the season where they directly interact with each other.
Yeah, that is a major bummer.
Yeah, it'll be like if and I was trying to think of like the best comparison to say to think about it. Like, okay, it would be like if say in I don't know like in Pokemon, if say they brought back a character that traveled with Ash, but they never had like one line of dialogue between them. It would just feel weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much as I did like this series and the concept, I feel like like okay, it doesn't have to be like in every episode, like reminding viewers, like, oh yeah, Jeff, Noah, and Owen, they were in total drama together. But just at least acknowledge, like, especially Owen, like Owen, it baffles me, like how he never went up to Jeff and said, "Hey Jeff, how's Bridget doing?"
Yeah, that is shocking.
Yeah, I mean, Noah, I can kind of understand like why he probably wouldn't want to talk to Jeff, but no, Owen would definitely probably want to talk to Jeff.
I could totally see that.
So yeah, so for the lineup that we have for this season, we have a father and son duo. We have I'm trying to remind like what all of them were. Here we go. So we have I'm on the wiki now. So we have the LARPers, which are Leonard and Tammy. We have the tennis rivals, Pete and Jerry, who Pete, and I mentioned this before, and I mentioned this all the time when he showed up. He does honestly look like a relative of Chris. Like, because he's got the stubble, he's got like the hair, he's got like the little beady eyes like Chris. So that's why I was calling like Chris's uncle. So we've got them as like the tennis rivals. We've got Enody and Mary, who are the geniuses. We've got Laurie and Miles, the vegans. Tom and Jen, the fashion bloggers. Kelly and Taylor, mother and daughter. Jay and Mick. Yep, I'm pretty sure. But thankfully, thankfully they don't last all that much. We have Jay and Mickey, the adversary twins. We have Lorenzo and Chet, the stepbrothers. Rock and Spud, the Rockers. Dwayne and Junior, father and son. Owen and Noah, reality TV pros. Inu and Crimson, the Govs. Brody and Jeff, the surfer dudes. Steph and Ryan, the daters who become the haters. Devin and Kerry, the best friends, quote unquote. Kitty and Emma, the sisters. Yosei and Shock, the ice dancers. And MacArthur and Sander, the police cadets. So a very interesting lineup, to say the least.
Yeah, I'll say. I do think I think having these returning like not going too heavy-handed with returning characters does allow the new characters to shine all that more. Namely, like the cadets, the ice dancers, the goths.
The Goths, okay, I'm going to say it right. The Goths were the best characters in this season. I'm just getting that right out of the way right now. I loved them in this season.
I gotta agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I do understand your point about not having it bloated with like returning characters, but it does feel weird that they call Brody and Jeff the surfer dudes, but they don't bring back Bridget and just call them like the surfer couple. But I guess the reason why is like, okay, Jeff wasn't in World Tour, so it's kind of fair that he gets his dues in this. I guess that's why they did it.
It could also be because even though they did get Bridget's VA back, who voices Carrie, it could just be that maybe they thought Bridget and Carrie had two similar voices.
Yeah, that could be the case. But there is a major disservice here to one particular group, and that is the Revenge of the Island cast. So, because you have the original lineup, and you have Parkateo, but you don't have someone from Revenge of the Island. And I've said this before because MacArthur as the same last name as a similar name to Brig. Because Brig's last name in Revenge of the Island is MacArthur. So they could have easily just brought back Brig and had them be cousins. And that would have been an interesting interesting dynamic because MacArthur is like this big, like tough, like in charge kind of person, and Brig is like the soldier guy who's like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, reporting for duty. It would have been an interesting concept to have them be. And I've got the epitaph for them. Brig and MacArthur, the military cousins.
It could be interesting, but I feel like if we did bring back Brick, we would have lost out on the decent story between Sanders and MacArthur.
Yeah, but at the same time I could have seen like Brig taking Sanders' position and basically doing all the things that Sanders did. Yeah, but that's just me. I just feel like if you're gonna have characters from the original Total Drama and a character from Pocketeer, yeah, you should have at least one from Revenge of the Island. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that, especially if we didn't have Leonard.
Yeah, if we didn't have Leonard in the series, and it was just like, okay, so we're only focusing on characters from the original Total Drama, then that would have been that I would have understood that. But the fact that they had Leonard in like makes it a bit head scratching why they didn't think to include someone from Revenge of the Island.
Yeah. But going into the episodes proper, first episode acts as a basic introduction, and it's also where we learned the basic challenge structure.
Yeah.
After all, the Ridonculous race is more of a spoof on the Amazing Race, which involved pairs of two racing in different locations, picking up tips, and completing certain challenges. We see the introductions of the Dawn Box, which is a tip dispensing machine. Once you hit a button, get a tip. And their first tip contains their first challenge called an either or, which basically has you choose between two challenges. In this case, they either have to climb 144 flights of stairs or take the elevator and walk the skywalk.
Which, by the way, I've got to say, if it was me, I would have definitely taken the stairs because just for the fact that you could have easily fallen off that skywalk.
And that handrail isn't very stable.
Yeah. But this is one thing I did like about the season. It's that okay, the challenges in the original like Total Drama got to the point where it's like, okay, this is ridiculous at this point. Whereas these challenges, I feel like they've really thought them out a lot more. Like how these can be fairly done between the teams.
Yeah, and how different teams can tackle how different teams tackle different obstacles. Like we see the Adversity twins taking the stairs because even though it's 144 flights of stairs, apparently Mickey gets nosebleeds when he goes up too high too fast.
Yeah.
Or we see when Tom and Jen are on their way doing the skywalk, they're given helmets and they complain about the color.
Yes, because they're fashion bloggers and they have to complain about everything to do with fashion.
Yeah.
But there was one line in this episode that just made me want to split hairs, and guess who it comes from?
Leonard.
Pockettail Island was tough, and I was just there thinking, like, you didn't do much, Leonard.
Yeah, you built a tower, had it crumble on you, and be disconnected from reality.
Yeah, but also it balances out because it was a good job that Owen wasn't in All Stars in hindsight, because thank God they actually got back to writing the characters how they act. This Owen in this season felt like Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
So so I guess we should talk about like the first location they actually go to, which is Moroccan. Which I've got to say as well, another positive about this season is that you know how I was like annoyed about the amount of times they did go back to Canada.
Yep, and I
Yeah,
think they started in Canada because they started in Toronto, but I think they only went back to
yeah, they only go back once, and
yeah.
that is Alberta. They only go to Alberta here, so it allows for like more locations to be actually put in here. We got Iceland this time around. We got Brazil. We got Romania. We got we got also Mexico, Vietnam. We got India, but again, no Italy for some reason. Don't know why.
I felt that maybe they felt it was kind of a safe pick and they wanted to go a bit more out of the box because they would also end up going to Dubai, to Finland, to New Zealand.
Yeah, I guess. So also one of the big running themes of this season as well, which is established in this episode, is that how I put in quotation best friends Kerry and Devon is that Kerry has a crush on Devon, but Devon is in a relationship with another woman. So and at first it was like, because it's very obvious, like they build it up like, okay, they are going to get together, but just the amount of frustration that makes it that it takes for them to get together can just be a little bit like eye rolling at times.
That's the power of slow burn, Luke.
Yeah. You call it slow burn, I call it cockburn.
But we also see two new types of challenges. Firstly, is an all-in, which means both, which means both, which means both members of the team have to participate. We see our first all-in when they have to pick out 5 spices: cumin, cinnamon, paprika, saffron, and ginger. Which I'm surprised they can get saffron in such big bags, because usually like when you like go to your local grocery store to pick up some saffron, you're only getting like a couple sprouts.
Wow. Well, I guess since Dawn had a lot of time before before this, I guess that's the reason why he was able to get so many prepped.
I guess.
Yeah. But as well, another thing that I do appreciate about Don as a host is that he'll often demonstrate, because Chris often was like, yeah, I could demonstrate this task very easily, but no, I'm going to let others suffer. Whereas Don, I've got to give him credit. He does a lot of the suffering by demonstrating these challenges.
Yeah. Like he demonstrates like a challenge in Romania where he constantly gets hit in the crotch with a football. He puts himself in front of a live lion.
Yep, something that Chris would never have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna let you go.
Okay, but we see the likes of the geniuses and the vegans pick out the ingredients easily, while Owen and Noah are more lax because Owen's got an iron stomach. But we also see we also see them riding on camels. The father and son team's camel passes out, which leads me to believe that camel might have been malnourished.
It probably was in hindsight, but also in this episode, I believe in this episode we do start to see the differences. Yeah, we do see the differences between Dwayne Senior and Dwayne Junior, of how Dwayne Senior is very much portrayed in this season as the parent who's either who doesn't understand certain trends and thinks too hard of how can I get hip with my kid, and you have Dwayne Jr. just there being like, can I go home?
If I had to use an analogy from another Cartoon Network show, it reminds me a lot, like Dwayne Senior reminds me a lot of like Richard Watterson because there was like an episode where he like tries to be all cool but it just ends up embarrassing himself. And like Dwayne Jr. would be like Gumball or Darwin. Which that may be another show because apparently we're supposed to be getting a Gumball movie, though granted it's been a couple years since that announcement and we haven't heard anything. I digress. But anyways, back to this. We also see a new type of challenge called a botch or watch, where one contestant has to complete a challenge, and whichever contestant that is tends to alternate.
Yeah, so like in one episode, if the challenger did the botch, in the next episode where there's a botch or watch, they do the watch.
Yep. In this case, the botch or watch is basically a guy whips up a stew with the spices they gathered, and one member of each pair has to drink it.
Yep.
We see Sanders like take small sips and just tap her face with a napkin.
Which I've just got to say, Sanders, don't. That's the worst kind of strategy to do it. For something that spicy, like don't just be like, because it's gonna cause even more pain. Just get on with it and douse it all down.
I mean, unless the stew wasn't that spicy.
Yeah, because that's the thing about this challenge. It's like they have really mild spices, and then like the equivalent of ghost pepper spices.
Yeah, we see Owen like we see Owen burning up,
which I've got to say, for Owen to burn up about food must be really, really spicy.
Yeah, and he manages to cool it down by drinking camel saliva.
Yeah. Okay, Owen, we love you, but ew.
Yeah. I will say the funniest thing to come from that is when with the stepbrothers, when Chet was about to spew chunks. We have like a confessional where Lorenzo's like, my dad's an inspirational speaker. He's taught me everything there is to know about motivate people. And he just starts shouting at Chet.
Yes.
Which is one of the few things that makes me chuckle about the stepbrothers, because the 90% of the time they're just bickering.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I don't get like what was their actual reasoning for their bickering? Like, did they? I know their parents remarried, but what was their beef before their parents got married?
Don't know. And like, despite being like, I want to say like 12, 13, they argue like they're 5.
Yeah, the only explanation I can think of for it is that they were both only they were both only children, and now they have a brother. Their only child syndrome is like they're gonna steal all the attention away from me. That's the only explanation I can think of for this.
Which may be more real than you think, because I mean, when I was a kid, I suffered only child syndrome bad.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I mean, we've kind of like gone over the first 2 episodes, because the first 2 episodes are a 2-part, which so we've kind of gone through both of them. And the LARPers end up getting thrown out first. But one of the things that I love that's a great callback with Owen is the fact that, because most of the planes that they used to travel from one country to the next is like the military, like the plane that they traveled in World Tour, and Owen has serious deja vu about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's trying to get over it because he has Berry the Bear. Not a very creative name, Owen.
It doesn't need to be creative. It needs to be functional.
Yeah. So yeah, and at the end of each challenge, there's just a simple race, no gimmicks, no characters coming in to screw up. It's just simple. You've got to get from point A to point B to the chill zone, which is just which is just like a rug that's on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last team there is the team to be eliminated, which are Leonard and Tammy, the LARPers. So thank God we only had to put up with Leonard for 2 episodes before he was gone. And we never saw him again.
This time, that is actually true.
Well, except for the finale, look, never again, Brain. We never saw him again.
I mean, we see him, but he doesn't talk.
Yeah, so. But yeah, but I just like to keep up that running gag of like, we'll never see him again, never again. So anyway, I believe that's everything to talk about with the pretty much the major points with the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. Moving on to episode 3, we're going to Paris,
which is called French is an iPhone language.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm on the wiki now, so I'm looking at all the episode titles.
Oh,
so
okay.
how they start off the next challenge is that the team who won first and last challenge gets to start it off by getting the first tip, which is usually where the next location is going to be.
Yep, and it starts with a moped race to the airport to get on the soonest flights. One thing I like to see, I liked was were the vegans pedaling their mopeds instead.
Yeah, because the vegans, they are pretty much the stereotypical what you would expect of radical vegans nowadays, where it's just like, we can't do anything that damages the environment, even when we're trying to win a competition.
Which, I mean, good on them for sticking to their morals, but they act like usual hippies, seeming nice on the outside, but you later find out that they're mean.
Yeah, we'll they're the type of like vegans who, like, if you were just walking past like them, just eating a ham sandwich, they would probably like beat you up for just eating the ham sandwich. And you'd be like, what did I even do?
Oh, it's also funny because the person who voices Laurie also voices Courtney.
Oh God. Yeah, don't remind me of that. Don't remind me of that. Thank God we didn't have Courtney and her in this season because that would have been a nightmare.
That would have been. But anyways, we also hold on, I'm gonna pull up the wiki as well.
Yeah, I'll say. So when they actually do get to Paris, they, okay, a lot of the challenges in this season as well will have assistance from people who are associated with the place that they go to, and in this case we have an artist where one member of the team has to do a portrait of their own team member, and it has to get the approval of this assistant before they can move on to the next part of this challenge. So we have Jeff trying to draw Brody, and it's all part of the Botch and Watch challenge. So we have Jeff painting Brody. Trying to think who was the other ones that painted who.
Basically anybody who didn't down the stew in Morocco had to draw a caricature. So it was, let's see, I know it was Devin, Sanders. I don't know if it was Jacques or Jose who downed the stew in Morocco. But I know.
I'll bring up the episode just to find out who it was. Yes, race. Episode 3. Oh, come. Oh, ad. We ate the ads. So. Okay, I'm up to the point. Okay, so we have. Kerry drawing Devon. We have. It was Shock drawing No, it was. They have so similar names.
It was Jacques drawing Jose.
Yeah, Shock drawing Jose. We have Noah drawing Owen. We have Steph drawing Ryan. Yeah, with his pets on his body that just have a mind of their own. Yeah, obviously Jeff drawing Brody. We have MacArthur drawing Sanders.
We had Kitty drawing Emma. We had Taylor drawing Kelly. We had Lorenzo drawing Chet.
Yeah, which I've got to say they again what did they draw each other as? Oh, was it actually shown?
I don't think it was, but
no.
I just figured that out by process of elimination.
Okay, all right. And then God, there's so many characters. I don't think we'll go through all of them.
We think, but after once each team finishes their caricatures, they have to traverse the Parisian catacombs.
Yeah, and when they do eventually get through it, guess what they have to ride on?
Cheese.
Which I've got to say, as soon as I saw that and saw Owen on the cheese, I was like, oh my god, Owen's got to be having deja vu because of his cheese basement.
And all the dreams about cheese he has.
Yeah, and they're literally in this episode using the cheese as boats.
We also see on We of the Goths saying that the catacombs could be like an amusement park for kids.
This is why I love the gods in this season, because they speak in such like a gothic tone, but at the same time, it for some reason it makes so much sense. And they seem, and everyone tries to hype them up as like, this is exciting, right, and they're just there being like, yeah, this is exciting. My cold heart is warming up.
And we also have one of the twins going like, oh man, I hope we don't catch the plague again. Like, again.
Yes, again. Like, how did they get the plague twice?
Oh, how did they get the plague once?
I have no idea.
But most notable thing when it comes to the team, when it comes to the cheese floats, is that Owen just eats the cheese for the pros. Ryan accidentally loses the Hater Daters oars, and Jacques and Jose just use their cheese as a kickboard.
Yeah, which of course, and this is where we get the one of the other recurring themes of this series, the penalties, because Owen ate the cheese because they had to roll it to the chill zone circle. The fact that Owen ate it means that they get a 20-minute penalty, which means that if the other players arrive before their time is up, they will be eliminated. But thankfully, that does not happen, and it ends up that the tennis rivals end up becoming last and therefore are eliminated.
And they float away on a cheese wheel.
Flow away on cheese. But that's the thing. That's the thing. You would think that of all the characters that would have gotten eliminated here, it would have been the vegans, because they are because I could have seen them like throwing a temper tantrum over having to float on cheese.
I mean, better to float on cheese than to eat the cheese.
Yeah, but it kind of gives me the impression that they are the kind of people who would be like, we are not touching any food that comes from an animal whatsoever, and yet they're still touching food that came from an animal.
Fair enough.
But that's just me.
But moving on to episode 4, Mediterranean Homesick Blues.
Naturally, with a title like that, it's going to take place in Greenland.
No, we're going to Calanque de Maubois.
Yeah,
still in France.
Still in France. So this episode, we have them taking the train south for their next tip, and we have Dwayne Jr. hitting puberty, because he in this episode starts developing feelings for Carrie, which is a little bit awkward.
It is a little bit awkward, but luckily nothing weird or gross happens with it.
Yeah. But also in this episode, I did put this note down, like, Jeff is smarter than they're suggesting here, because they make out Jeff and Brody to be like, oh, we're the radical surfer dudes, so therefore we're not meant to be as smart as others. When it's like, no, Jeff is a okay. He's not as smart as some of the other characters in Total Drama, but he's not stupid. He's not Lindsay level stupid.
I chalked that up to flangerization.
Yeah. But anyway, in the botch or watch for this episode is Swimming with Sharks. And also fun fact, I'm just looking at it now. This episode aired on one of my birthdays, January 7th, 2016.
In Canada.
But it's still aired on my birthday, so it counts. And also as well, I'm just looking at this as well. I find this funny. So we've got this episode that aired on my birthday in Canada, but in the United States, it aired on the birthday of my favorite character in Dr. Stone, Suika. So September 9th. So I'm like, wow. Wow.
Yeah, this was when, like, I think it was like back in World Tour, like they started airing in the US before Canada. Because of how popular it is in the States.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, I get it's popular in the States, but you would think that it's a Canadian show. You would want to air it in Canada first.
Yeah, fair enough. But have you seen how popular stuff like Dragon Ball is in like Latin America? You think like we love it here in the West? Like, they love Dragon Ball in Latin America.
Yeah. Oh, side note. In a few months' times, I will be with another group in Discord. I will be starting a watch through of the Dragon Ball franchise. My first time watching Dragon Ball.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it won't be filmed like this or anything. It'll just be like a simple like relax, watch the series for fun. But anyway, yeah. So in this episode, we have the people for the Botch and Watch challenge. It's Swimming with Sharks, which means we're gonna get a cameo from Fang.
No, we're not.
We're gonna get a cameo from Fang.
No, we're not.
Yeah, I don't get why Fang. This would have been like the perfect opportunity to do a Fang cameo, because anyone who's watched Revenge of the Island, after the Island 6, Fang just swims away, so he's out there somewhere in the world.
Yep. Also, while everyone takes trains to Grenoble, the fashion bloggers travel via yacht. That said yacht being owned by the Prince of Monaco.
Yeah, which is going to come back to bite them later on in the episode, because the rule I do like this about Don as well, is that when it comes to the penalties, he sticks to them. Like he allows cheats to happen occasionally, but with these, when it's like, oh no, I'm going to give them a penalty, he's going to stick to them. And he brought up the fact, like, wait, you guys didn't come in by train like it was supposed to, so you're going to be getting the penalty in this episode.
In terms of getting the tips from the dorsal fin of a shark, we see the likes of the geniuses using a magnet, which the explanation was so boring Dawn cut them off. Crimson just scared one of the sharks.
Yes. But I think I'm gonna say, like, the MVP of this whole challenge, I'm gonna give it to Dwayne Sr. because of the fact that he braved swimming towards a shark, and Dwayne Jr. was like, you know what, I'm proud of my dad for doing that, because I don't know how many people would willingly swim towards a shark.
I mean, I know I wouldn't.
Yeah. But I don't know who said this line, but it just cracked me up. I think it might be MacArthur. If shark eats you, I'll eat shark. I can't remember who said that line, but it just stuck out. It stuck out to me. Like, if shark eats you, I'll eat shark. It's like, So yeah, the other part of this challenge is that you've got to build a sandcastle and it's got to impress one of the locals.
Yep. Specifically, you have to make a model of the Palace of Versailles.
Yeah. And whoever does win at this, they get to drive a speedboat over to Iceland, which means in episode 5 we're going to Iceland. So that'll be an interesting episode to talk about, considering earlier on in the year I actually went to Iceland. So yeah. So another thing I want to say about the shark moment is that when we have the vegans going after the shark, and one of them saying like, "Oh, they just miss it." It's the common thing when people who love animals, they're like, "Oh, they're just misunderstood creatures. They don't really want you." And then the second they start hurting you, they're like, I hate sea creatures. I hate sea creatures. I hate sea creatures."
Yeah. And Miles was like, "Yeah, I'm taking sharks off my preservation list." And Laura's like,
Yeah, it's like the biggest like, we must not speak of this forbidden moment. So anyway, in this episode, the geniuses end up losing, because the second I saw them like just trying to do like the whole calculations of how to build this sandcastle, I was like, they're gonna waste all their time just figuring out these calculations, and they do.
especially when the waves wash away their schematics.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to be so pragmatic about it that they ended up wasting time. But also, there is one moment in this episode where we have just this random couple when Dawn's at Iceland, just trying to explain everything, and you just see this random couple just walk through the shot. It's like, where did they come from? And it's like, Dawn, you're on an island, a perfectly good tourist destination. I think people will be walking through your shots. Granted, it could have been worse. It could have been like in Russell Crowe in South Park, where she's like, "Hey, how dare you walk through my shot?" And he just starts fighting that couple.
We also see the father and son group arrive at the chill zone, but they get hit with a 20-minute penalty because Dwayne Sr. read the travel tip before he reached the shore, which seems a bit nitpickish, but
yeah, Dawn, that was a bit nitpicky. Yeah. So yeah, but thankfully it doesn't matter, because, like we said, the geniuses were so busy at doing their schematics that they wasted up all their time.
Yep. And the Ice Dangers take first.
Yeah,
First of many.
Like, yeah, first place, in your face. And you're just like, oh, shut up. Yeah, in terms of the Ice Dancers being antagonists in this season, they're kind of in the middle ground for me. In the sense, I don't hate them as much as Mal, but at the same time, they are. I would argue like ones that come above them would be Heather, Alejandro, and Scott. Yes, I would say Scott is a better antagonist than the Ice Dancers. Because the Ice Dancers, they tend to be more like Team Rocket-esque than anything else. If that makes sense.
And there is an appeal to that, I feel. But at least for me, I do feel like there is an appeal for like being like Team Rocket-esque, and they do receive their comeuppance like when necessary.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we're constantly reminded of throughout throughout most of the episodes that they do not like coming anywhere but first, but especially they do not like coming second. Like if they come second, they will be flipping their shit.
Mhm. It'd be even worse if they came third.
Oh. But no, I would say I honestly think they would have preferred to come third because I feel like because they've come, I feel like they probably in their minds think that coming second means they are number two, which means they are shit, basically. I think that's what goes through their minds sometimes when they think of silver. They think of it being number two and therefore shit.
Possible.
Possible. Yeah. But anyway, moving on to episode 5, which is okay, how do you pronounce this?
Telephone?
I guess
Hold on, let me...
Bjorken telephone. But anyway, point is that we are in Iceland now, and I've got to say, after visiting the country, it is a nice place to go to. I will admit that it is a very nice place to go to, but there is one thing that you cannot. My advice would be that if you're going to go to Iceland at any point in the year, go in the summer. Because you want to know why, Tyler?
Why?
Because literally, we got there to Iceland at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark. It does not in the winter. It does not get light in Iceland until around 10:30, and you only get like 4 hours of light there in the winter. Whereas in the summer, apparently, it does not go dark until midnight, and you only get 2 hours of nighttime there. So next time we go to Iceland, we're going in the summer. But we'll say it's a lovely place to visit.
I'm sure it is.
So in this episode, the teams have to break past a geyser field, which is like a minefield, but instead of it being mines, it's geysers that they have to avoid. And yeah, those geysers they are pretty spectacular to see in person, like when the water just shoots out. And they end up having to the challenge of this episode is that they have to say a phrase in Icelandic to a swan dancer, was it?
It's just an Icelandic local.
All right, okay. Yeah, so what was I'm trying to remember what the phrase was.
Gesamla gebo med mina travel albending.
There we go. What Tyler said just then. And we and in this episode, well, some of them do succeed succeed at it fairly easily. One of them that screws it up big time is Dwayne Sr. Because he has this mentality that because he's older, he knows better, even though his son is able to pick it up quite easily. He's like, no, I've got it, and he ends up constantly forgetting it.
To the point where where the joke is like he accidentally says something like offensive or provocative or both, and ends up getting smacked for it.
Yeah, which I get that they did it this way with the challenge because of the fact that because of it being in Iceland, but at the same time, I would have expected this to be in any other country because English is like a second language for them there. Like most of the population in Iceland can speak English. But I get, but it was quite funny to see some of these characters just trying to figure out figure out how to do this phrase, because it just reminds me. Okay, going back to what we said about Red Dwarf, there's in one of the episodes of Red Dwarf, there's an alternative ending where one of the characters has to say a phrase, and they constantly keep forgetting it, and then when they finally get it, everyone else gets it right away. They're like, "Oh, it's that phrase that you were trying to say." It's like, "Wait, you've heard of it? Yeah, it's a really famous phrase, even though it's like the longest like phrase ever you can think of." And that just reminded me of that alternative ending of just Dwayne Senior trying to figure out what this phrase is, and Dwayne Jr. just being like, "It's so easy to figure out." Even though I couldn't remember it, and Tyler could, so I'm being a bit hypocritical there.
I just have a really good memory when it comes to trivial stuff, but when it comes to actually important stuff, I forget constantly.
Fair enough. But the second part of this challenge is
it's an either or.
It's an either or. So you either have to get a fossil from from an Icelandic glacier, or eat a meat Icelandic delicacy. Yeah. So it's a bit of half and half here, where half of them will go for the meat eating challenge, whereas half of them will go for getting the fossil. And the vegans lose their fossil, so Dwayne Senior is like, "Oh, finders keepers." So the vegans have to do the unthinkable in this episode. They have to eat meat, and just the pain on their faces, like they're just like, We've betrayed our cause. But they make a pact. What happened in Iceland stays in Iceland. And the thing is that the vegans think that if they don't eat the meat, they're going to be eliminated. But this is where Don. Don could have so easily avoided this if he had said it right at the beginning, that this is a non-elimination. But then again, that would have ruined the tension. But yeah, he reveals that it's a non-elimination, which means that the vegans ate meat for nothing. And so Laurie, in a fit of rage, and to be fair, rightfully deserved of Dawn, starts beating him up. Yeah, but at the same time, okay, you asked me. I believe you asked me, like, is the or I might have just come to this conclusion as well on my own. Don getting beaten, hey, it's not the same with it not being Chris. It's not the same, because like I said, I like Don. If this was Chris, I'd be like, yes.
Also, apparently, when Dwayne got smacked, what father and son said was "Vinsamla skeffel med mina travel as denting" instead of bending, because the phrase means "please give me my next travel tip." But "Vinsamla skeffel med mina travel as denting" means "please give me my travel, asshole."
Oh, Al Denton is asshole in Iceland. Is Icelandic.
I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, and also I said, like, hey, vegans, it's okay. We all have to do things we hate.
Also, apparently, mother and daughter have like very weak stomachs because they can't stand hearing barf, like the word barf.
Okay, okay, I've got to know, like, I guess they didn't watch. Total Drama in the universe.
I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, so because this was a non-elimination, nobody gets sent home here, and this is one of the criticisms that I'll say about this season is that there are too many non-eliminations.
Another highlight for this episode for me is like how the Goths easily finish the meal and everyone else is just spewing chunks.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the image now of them just free the freeze frame of them just like not even caring what they're eating, but then you have like the rockers and you can see Jeff off to the side just being like oh. And Jeff in this challenge that's got to be having deja vu back to Total Drama.
Probably. And the Goths actually end up finishing first.
Yay! And like yay first. We're very happy. And Don is just there trying to again beef it up. Oh god.
And he's like, get out of here! You're back!
Yes. Which is just hilarious every time that happens. So,
but
yeah.
In the sorry,
go ahead.
In the confessional, Ennui's like, first place, amazing. I can pee myself, and Crimson's like, you just did.
Yeah.
I'm like that's just like the brand of humor that like the Goths nail. Is just they say everything so damn monotone.
Yeah, that it just makes it that much more hilarious. But yeah, so that's everything I had to say on the Iceland episode. So
we almost forgot.
Go ahead.
Because the mom and daughter team messed up the phrase, and Taylor forced Kelly to go back by herself and not together. They got a 1 hour penalty.
Oh right, yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. So moving on to episode 6, Brazilian Pain Forest, which it does live up to its name. They a lot of the characters were in pain here, but okay, this was the I know I mentioned this earlier, but this was the episode where Owen having PTSD because of World Tour. Because you see him in this episode just being like, a military flight, and then you see flashbacks to it, to his time on World Tour.
We also.
But with this episode, I did put down as one of my notes. Let's hope we don't have a "Come Fly with Me," "Come Fly with Us" reprise, where we have Kerry saying, "Come fly with us." Also, that's another thing as well about this season as well, which I just find really weird. I mean, we do get maybe once. No, we actually don't get it at all. You would think that again, some of the contestants here would be like, oh my god, at least in the first episode, be like probably hyperventilating, being like, oh my god, we're in a competition with Owen and Noah.
I don't know. Maybe Total Drama has like a niche fan base.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. But yeah. So in this episode, they fly to Brazil, and the challenge this time is to stick your hand into a basket of bullet ants to receive the next tip. and of course the vegans have to screw it up. So Laurie ends up having a disfigured face for this episode because it's swollen by the bullet ants. But also in this episode, we have Kitty as well, trying to inspire and help out the adversary twins. But she's obviously doing this because she likes to take. That's the thing about Kitty's character, is that every single time we see her, she's finding more and more ways to take selfies. Which I get why she be doing that, because of the fact that, hey, you're going around the world, seeing all these different locations. Why wouldn't you want to take selfies?
Yeah. We also see
we also see Shock being the one to put his hand in it wasn't a basket, it was a mitten of bullet ants, and end up getting swollen. And again, the ice dancers, they are the definition of, like, we have got to be perfect at everything. Perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect outfits. So yeah, to see him with just like a screwed up hand, yeah, that's what you get for being too perfect, Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, and we also see both Lorenzo and Chet having screwed up hands.
Yeah. So hey, at least you can be simply. At least you have that in common now, and you can bicker about that. But also, we see Jeff as well in this episode get both his hands bitten.
Yeah, and we see Taylor not even having to stick her hand into the glove, which probably should have gotten her penalized.
Yes, that should have gotten her penalized, now that you've mentioned that. But again, the best reaction to sticking the hand in this episode goes to the Goths, because see, and you, I cannot pronounce his name. Ennui go in, just stick his hand in, pull it out, and he's like, "Ow." Like, literally no reaction to it. But also as well, we have another recurring element of this season, where we have Rock, who has delayed reaction syndrome, where basically Spud. Yeah, sorry. Well, it's the Rockers, where we have Spud having delayed reaction syndrome, where his reaction to anything painful will be delayed by a certain amount of time. So he's the one that sticks his hand in the mitten, and then about 2 hours later, screams come. Yeah. So the tip that they get for this leads them to the next part of the challenge, which is which is you've got to dress yourself up as, I believe it's a peacock, isn't it?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me. Well, first they have to cross.
Oh yeah.
The gap on a vine.
Yeah, first they have to cross the gap on the vine, and then they have to crack open coconuts to get the next tip.
And we see Brody like swinging on the vine, and just like the edge of the cliff gets wedged right into the kiwis.
Yeah, ouch! But again, best reaction to the swinging on the vines goes to the Goths, because you just see Enyu grabbing Crimson like a mannequin and just swinging across the vines with her. And Crimson's just there like, yay. I don't care about this. So yeah, the final challenge is that they have to get approval from a local about dressing up as a. It's a. It's
It's they have to create a carnival costume.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
They have to each one of them they have to make a headdress and a tailpiece, but both members of the pair have to participate.
Yeah. So, and of course, because the Goths are the Goths, it all has to be black. Which I've got to say, Crimson rocks that look of the headpiece and the feather tail. Like, that's a quite a good look for her.
Yeah.
Which I don't get why she didn't just be like, you know what, I'll take a picture of this and we'll use this later. So yeah, after they get the approval, they have to hand glide down to the chill zone
on Copacabana Beach.
Yep. Which mean, and of course, in this episode, even though the vegans get there first, they get a 30-minute penalty.
Yep, because both of them were supposed to contribute to the costume, but Miles made both pieces.
Yeah, and this is I've got to say, much as I dislike the ice dancers when they're just being like in your face for you, and they just see Laurie's face just swelled up, they're like, ah! That was a great reaction.
Yeah.
And in this episode, I believe it is the end of the vegans.
Yep, we say so long to the vegans as every other team arrived at the chill zone before their penalty expired.
Yeah. But hey, at least now they can go home knowing that they betrayed their values to eat meat in Iceland. But oh wait, I forgot. We're not supposed to talk about that. Whatever happened in Iceland stayed in Iceland.
Unfortunately, the plane they flew back on crash landed on an island of cannibals.
Yeah, which I've got to say, that has to be the fact that it landed on an island of cannibals and there was and it was a vegan. That has to be a reference to something. Because okay, there's an there's an Eli Roth film, one of those cannibal horror films called The Green Inferno, which basically has this concept of a vegan being captured by a group of cannibals. So I'm like thinking, like, was that where they got the reference from?
Well, let's take a look. References.
Huh. Oh, side note as well. Don't go and watch The Green Inferno. It's like literally just reading the Wikipedia article nearly made me throw up. It was that disgusting just from reading the Wikipedia article.
Apparently, the Botcher Watch challenge in Brazil originated from a ritual. Originated in a ritual from Brazilian indigenous tribes. But anyways, moving on to episode 7, a casket, I'm gonna blow a gasket. Where they end up going to Transylvania.
Which I've got to say, the goths in this was a highlight. This was like pure goth comedy here. Because of the fact that they're going to Transylvania and they're goths, they're just like, yeah, it's the darkest place on earth. We're so excited.
We also see when all the teams are getting their tickets to Romania, we see per her request, Stephanie be tossed by Ryan to the front of the line.
Why?
Because Stephanie's competitive.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Um, so yeah, they're going to Dracula's castle here.
Yep. We also have a side plot of Tom and Jen arguing who started the fashion blog.
Yeah, and of course, Tom has to bring out a fez, and I have to bring up the fact that Doctor Who already did the fez, already brought the fez back, Tom. because as soon as I saw Tom in the fez, it just reminded me of Matt Smith's Doctor wearing the fez.
Which Doctor was he?
He was the 11th Doctor. He was one after David Tennant's run as the 10th Doctor.
Oh, okay. He was the Doctor after the one shown in Death Battle. Okay.
Yeah, he was the one after the Doctor shown in Death Battle. Yeah, and
I love how that's just my frame of reference now.
But I've got to say, in the episode, the only reason why he's wearing the fez in that episode is one of the characters says to him, like, "What the hell are you wearing?" And he's like, "I'm wearing a fez now. Fezes are cool." And you know what they do to the fez?
What?
They take it off his head, throw in the hair, and just shoot it.
Aww.
But that's so cool. Hey, I'd wear a fez.
Me too. And plus side for Tom, he has the back. He has the he has the backing of an actor who played Doctor Who. That's got to count for something.
Yeah. But anyway, so this episode we have the Ice Dancers' first major argument, I will say as well.
Yeah, because of the challenge presented being an whoever picks up the tip must drag one of the coffins in the castle, which will have which will have their teammate inside, and bring it to a graveyard and find a grave digger to receive their next tip.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to find it here. I'm gonna send you the image because I found it. Because this episode, one of my trying to get the words out. One of my observations. There we go. Observations was this image of the Goths. Smiling. The horrors! The Goths are smiling! They're all coming to Tyler! The apocalypse is happening!
Yep, cats and dogs living in harmony, mass hysteria.
Yeah, like the Goths are smiling in this. Like, well, it's nice that they do show more emotions, but the fact that they're smiling there is like, it's just weird to see them. Like, they're just so monotone down to the bone. Like, the fact that they're smiling, it just feels like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
But we have the stepbrothers arriving before the Ice Dancers, shockingly enough, and all the teams ride on horseback to a Romanian gymnastics training center, where the next challenge is a botcher watch, where the teams must perform a sort of must perform a gymnastics challenge consisting of walking a balance beam, landing over a vaulting horse, and
doing like the trapeze, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like the two triangle things that are suspended in the air.
I don't think they had to do that one. I think it was just walking over a balance beam, jumping at the center, and then landing over a vaulting horse onto a mat.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, and of course, because Owen is Owen. He can't. It takes him a while to actually do the challenge.
Yeah, because he can't get over the he can't get sprung over the vaulting horse.
Yeah, but this is where we see the start of Noah's infatuation with Emma in this season, because the second that Emma jumps over Owen and therefore over the horse beam, he's like, oh my god, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
And for the second time in the row, the Ice Dancers claimed first.
Yeah. Which I've got to say, I was just like, oh my god, this better not be a recurring thing. But thankfully it isn't.
Also, we see Chet of the Step Brothers performing very well because he took rhythmic gymnastics in school. Which
yeah, and I did put that down, like that the brothers in this episode are Jason from Power Rangers, because one of them took karate, and Sako maybe Kimberly because the other took gymnastics. But the other note that I took for this episode was the daters or haters getting pummeled in the groin, because you see Ryan trying his hardest to balance on that balance beam and he just keeps slipping, and like there's a lot of I don't know if you've noticed this, but Ridonculous Rays love doing the groin shot.
And I loved it because I found it funny.
But it's like, oh, after a while you have to feel the pain, like Tyler just down there, like getting it in the family jewels. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I'd be a liar if I said I didn't feel the balance beam one in particular.
Yeah. But in this episode, we have the fashion bloggers getting eliminated.
Just when they made up.
Yeah, but I will say about the Ridonculous Race compared to Total Drama is that a lot of the characters do come out better for it because of the experience, as we'll see moving forward.
Mm-hmm. We also see the Goths receive a 10-minute penalty because in the middle of the coffin leg of the challenge, Crimson got out of the coffin, so Ennui can experience what it's like to be dead.
Yeah.
Alive.
Yeah. but because their penalty is used up, they're able to move on to the next episode.
Yep. On to episode 8. Hawaiian Honey Ruin.
Yeah. And nope, Sugar is not going to make a cameo in this episode because of the fact that we have Honey in the episode title.
Oh yeah. But all the teams are heading to Hawaii. Hopefully, no pineapple effigies this time around.
Yeah, and of course, Noah is gazing lovingly at Emma, and she is completely oblivious to this. But more so, Owen is oblivious to this, and I'm just there, like thinking, like, Owen, you were doing the exact same thing as Izzy was in the as you were doing, like basically the exact same thing when you were with Izzy. You should know the signs.
I will admit there is a funny moment with Owen where he sees Noah actually caring about someone. He's like, "Holy crap, he's dying."
Yes. So yeah, the main challenge in this episode is that the contestants have got to dive down into the ocean to collect a wedding ring for their partner. Which I've got to say, which I've got to say, I'm glad that they didn't bring up some weird, cringy things, especially with the mother and daughter being like, "Oh my god, do we have to marry for real now?" Like, oh, thank God they didn't bring up something like that.
We also get a bit of like learn. We also do learn about more about the mom and daughter duo, as we hear that that Taylor gets along very well with her dad, sharing a love for victory and a hatred for avocados. And I'm like, what did avocado do to you?
Well, hey, if it makes you feel any better, Tyler, um, I can tell you right now. I know he's not going to watch this. My brother's least favorite vegetable is sprouts, and I'm like, what does sprouts ever do to him?
I think it's mostly because people cook them wrong. You gotta cook them right for them to be good.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
It's all a matter of how you cook them.
Yeah. But anyway, so the start of this episode as well has them like traveling by horse and carriage, isn't it?
More like donkey carriage because they're
Oh,
being pulled by a donkey.
yeah. And the main obstacle in the challenge is electric eels. But well, I say electric eels, but electric eels and a rock, because Kerry, as she's diving, because she's so infatuated with Devon in this episode, she ends up smashing her face into a rock, which normally would kill her.
Yeah, but I guess Carrie has an adamantium skeleton or some shit.
Yeah, I guess so.
We also see Jose losing her good luck charm. For the past couple episodes, Jose would always carry around a lucky rabbit's foot. That because she believed that it brought her good luck, but because she lost it, uh, she then picked up a Hawaiian lava rock.
Which she thought was like, oh, this is so romantic, but apparently nope. It's the exact opposite. It's cursed. It's a cursed item.
Yep.
Which I've got to say, when I heard that, I was thinking like, I bet DJ is watching this right now and thinking like, finally, I'm not the one that's cursed anymore.
Mm-hmm. But
so, go ahead.
The next part of the challenge involves having
it involves the person who found the wedding ring having to be carried by their partner of wedding style, bride and groom style, over hot coal.
Yep. One of the one who's being carried must wear a grass skirt, while the other must wear a malele.
Yeah. Now that might seem like a fairly easy challenge, but you gotta remember they're on hot coal. The person wearing the skirt, it's made of grass, and what does coal do to grass? It catches them on fire. So if the skirt is caught on fire, they have to start all over again.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say? Something?
Oh, I was about to say if either of the outfits catch on fire.
But, right. Yeah. But most of the time, it is the skirt that is going to get caught on fire.
Yeah. We also see like we see the surfer dudes come in first. Uh, thank uh, thanks to cold thoughts, like thinking about everything cold. Imagine.
which is a funny way to get through this challenge. And we also see again Devon being completely oblivious to Kerry's feelings for him, despite the fact that she is literally there giving him the eyes, giving me like the doomy eyes, and clinging to him for life.
We also see Junior, who's like 12 years old, carrying his old man across the coals.
Like how?
Which I don't think that is a strong ass 12-year-old.
Yeah, it is. We also see the stepbrothers doing rock paper scissors to find out who's going to be the girl.
But we see Chet wearing the grass skirt, but manages to get some payback on Lorenzo. We see the ice dancers coming in third, which is only the beginning of their curse.
Yep, and the beginning of their meltdowns. And again, this is another non-elimination non-elimination episode.
But as for our bottom two teams, the mom and daughter and the daters, Kelly blows up at Taylor, being like, "You never won a single trophy in your damn life. Your dad bought a trophy store."
Yeah, which I've got to say, like, how did she not notice that?
Not sure, but we also see Ryan being fed up with Stephanie's competitiveness, and deciding to break up with her because in Ryan's own words, she acts like a raging psychotic bull.
Which she does.
Yeah. So with that, the daters are no longer dating.
They're the haters.
Yep. Where they start to become the haters.
And with that, we can move on to episode 9, Hello and Dubai. So, yeah, we are going to Dubai in this episode.
Hold on, let me...
Now, I will say the craziest thing to take away from this from this challenge, from this not this challenge, from this episode is the challenge, the either or, which is okay. You either have to clean the window screen of a tower, or you have to play tennis with something. But it's not just anything. It is a Dalek. It is literally a Dalek that they're playing tennis with. There's no way you can get around. There's no way you can get around it.
Yeah, it even says on like that the tennis ball launcher is a parody of the Daleks. It even can't participate how the Daleks say exterminate.
Yeah, but instead of shooting out freezer style death beams, it shoots out balls. Which I've got to say, of just the most random of random things to pluck out of randomness. It's like we need something to be the tennis tennis menace in this episode. So what can we do? What can we have? Can we have a parody of Andy Murray, the British tennis player? Nope. Okay, a parody of another British tennis player, Roger Ferdinand. Nope. We're gonna have a Dalek. It's like, why? Why?
we see actually out of all the teams, the Adversity Twins are actually the first ones to clear the Tennis Menace.
Yes, which I just find so hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the other aspects of this episode is that we have Dwayne Senior and Kelly bonding in this episode because of the fact that they're doing this with their kids. Well,
Yeah.
I say bonding. It's more like, oh, you're a parent. Oh, I'm a parent. You're doing this with your kid. Yeah, cool.
And after talking with Dwayne, it's apparent that Kelly raised Taylor to be a spoiled brat.
Which I've got to say, that has got to be like the worst parenting ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you raise your kid to be a spoiled brat, what do you think's going to come out of it?
A spoiled brat.
Yeah. But this episode gets major drawbacks for me because of one aspect that I see in this episode. I do believe it's in this episode. Yes. I've just skipped to the end of the episode. It gets major points down for me because of where they actually do end up. They end up at like a trophy, a sort of like trophy style room. And guess who we see on the window? Chris McLean. Granted, he's only in statue form, but the fact that we see his face right there, and I've got to say, they could have done a very, very funny joke here. They because you see Noah right by the Chris McLean gold statuettes. He could have just like punched his way through the glass, took one, and said, "Ha! In your face, Chris! I knew I was the real winner of Total Drama Action." That would have just been such a funny joke to do.
And we do get Noah dealing a burn to Chris, being like, "Hey, look, they even have gift shops."
Yes, granted. Okay, even though I hate seeing Chris there, Noah, you get that one. Like implying that Chris is so cheap now, he's just being relegated to a gift shop.
We also see Kelly wiping bird poop from her boot onto Kelly's sleeve, which causes her to put Taylor, who's probably like a teenager, into timeout by hoisting her up the scaffolding.
Yeah, you imagine that Kelly is the kind of mother that if Taylor had done something like say broken a pen, she'd be like, right, you're going to be put in the washing machine.
I mean, to be fair, that was more like a breaking point.
Yeah, but I imagine she's had other breaking points with Taylor because of the fact that she raised her to be such a spoiled brat.
But the mom and daughter duo end up being eliminated because they got distracted with shopping at the Gold Sook.
Yeah, but it's not like they even care at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, are you happy that they are gone, Tyler?
Very. I cannot stand.
Yeah. Also as well. At the beginning, when they're actually demonstrating the challenge with the tennis menace, you see it having a tennis match with C-3PO, which I just find that absolutely hilarious. Like Star Wars versus Doctor Who. Yeah, because it
We
just reminds.
also
Oh,
we
go ahead.
also see. No, you go
Yeah,
ahead.
go. Okay, because it reminds me just of that episode of The Simpsons where they go to a sci-fi convention and they have robots from different franchises doing wrestling, and the announcer goes, "It's the mighty robots from Battlestar Galactica versus the gay robots from Star Wars," and I could just imagine that that's probably where they got that idea from. Like, oh, it's the mighty robots from Dot 2 versus the joke robots from Star Wars.
But we also see the sisters actually coming in first for the first time, and the twins being out of the bottom four, because they actually made it third place, and the ice dancers landed in fourth. One of the few times they're not in the top three.
which absolutely infuriates them.
And it's also apparent that tantrums run in Jose's family, which Jose, I have the number to a good psychiatrist if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing property damage. But I've got to say, okay, I've freeze framed it. I freeze framed it. Jose gets a point. For this one moment, and I'm gonna screenshot it right now and send it to you, Tyler. Look at what she threw. Yeah, I've sent it to you in Discord. So she gets a point for that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, she threw a Chris McLean statue, which I could. Do you hear that, Tyler? That's the sound of Chris going, "I've got you, my preciouses." Yeah, so you get that, Josie. You get that 1 point. Everybody gets one.
But, anyways, on to episode 10, A New Beijinging.
Yeah. Honestly, with this episode, I really didn't have much to say about it.
In this episode, we are going to China.
Which, thank God, now that you've mentioned that, which thank God we don't have another like borderline racist song.
Yep. Instead, we see the team skydiving into the Bird's Nest Stadium, and Jacques landing, going through a billboard, making a literal ass out of himself.
Which, for anybody who likes to see the Icelanders get the comeuppance, Shock is now officially an ass.
Now and then we have an we have a we also have a chat on we have another all in, which involves one team member skewering up exotic animals and deep frying them while their other team member eats it.
Yep. And also we have Spud being treated like a literal dog in this episode because we have Rock using these pig chocolate coated like dog treat things to be like, hey boy, get over here right now.
We see him bribing Spud with Choco Oinks, which are chocolate covered pork rinds, which sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that does sound disgusting. Now I've got to say, would you do the challenge in this episode?
I mean, fuck, I need anything. I would probably have to be the eater though. Like, I'll eat anything.
Okay. So yeah, and because of this, this challenge as well, we have we have one of the brothers eating it, the other one being like, "Yeah, this is beautiful," and then ended up getting barfed on as a result.
We also see that Carrie also has a weak stomach because if you mention worms, she will throw up.
Yeah, which, by the way, I've got to say about that as well. She would not be able to watch the. She would not be able to read the manga Medalist, which is basically like a ice skating manga where the main character goes up to her coach with worms to be like, "Will you please coach me?" Like, she wouldn't be able to read that manga. Yeah, which I've got to say, it's a great read. Like, the artwork in that is really fantastic, I will say. So that's one I'd recommend checking out. Yeah, but anyway, back to this episode. I literally, the only notes I had there on this episode were China and Shark being an ass with the billboard.
We also see after that we have a botcher watch where whoever didn't die for rings in Hawaii now has to pull a rickshaw.
Yeah, to the Great Wall of China.
Yep, and shocker, the hater daters finish first.
Yeah, which again, it doesn't surprise. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me because I do believe it is. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I do believe it was Ryan that did the pulling, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me because Ryan is like this big, giant, muscular dude. So he has great upper body strength. So it doesn't surprise me that they came in first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the last part of this challenge is that you have to circumnavigate the Great Wall to find the chill zone.
Mm-hmm. And we also see the ice dancers coming forth again.
Yeah, but the ones that end up finishing last are the rockers.
And they would have been penalized anyways because Spud ended up getting a sugar high from the Choco Oinks, and used that sugar high to pull the rickshaw, even though Rock was supposed to pull it.
Yeah, but again, this is a non-elimination episode, so they're not going home yet. Although the one thing I do have to comment on, skimming back over through the episode, is just looking at Dwayne's hand here, Dwayne Senior's hand of just being like deep fried. That does not look appetizing or good to be around. Like, how does his hand even function after that point?
I don't know, because he also got poisoned by scorpion venom. So like now he's like delirious.
Yeah, so I don't get like how is this guy even still alive at this point?
Not exactly sure.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on to episode 10. No, not episode 10. Episode
11.
Yeah, episode 11, which is I Love Ridonk and Rock. Oh my god, I just now got the title. Ridonculous.
Yeah, redunk and roll.
Oh, I'm not even kidding. I literally just looking at that title like Ha ha, very funny. So,
Um,
yeah, in this episode, we are in Finland for a rock concert. But not just any rock concert, it is a guitar showdown.
but before we get to that point, there's an all-in challenge where teams need to stay inside a sauna at the highest temperature for 10 minutes fully clothed.
Which I've got to say, I would not be able to do this. Like 100%, because I've got epilepsy. It's related to heat. So I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah, and neither am I, because I'm a big ass motherfucker. I would end up sweating like Owen.
Yeah, Owen gets absolutely drenched in this episode. Uh, um, and I do love Don's line here, like just the biggest flip of the fourth wall here. Thanks to the power of editing, they've arrived in Finland.
Yeah,
That's just like, how can we break the fourth wall in the most obvious way possible?
I think that would be like the second most obvious, aside from literally Dawn just like addressing the audience and winking at the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we see Owen in this episode of just being like absolutely 100% drenched to the bone here.
And we also see the Goth's makeup going undone, and when they fall into a semi-frozen river, all their makeup comes off, and we see them ungothed.
Yeah, which to them it's the equivalent of the vegans having to eat meat in Iceland. Is like something they just do not do.
Yeah,
Because it's the whole identity. If they don't have their identity, what are they?
yeah, and
And it gets so bad. It gets so bad that they have to put paper bags on their head.
and they've never seen each other ungothed, even though they've been dating for 3 years.
Like, yeah. So have they? Have they? I guess they've been like, I'm gonna take a shower now. I cannot see your face without makeup on. Shall I go and make a cup of tea? That'll be swell. Do that for 20 minutes while I shower. I can just imagine, like, you know what? Can we just have a spin-off? Can we just have a spin-off with the goths, like just the a brooding day keeps the pain away. There we go. That's the title.
Honestly, I'd watch the hell out of that. But,
I would honestly watch a spin-off with the goths as the main characters, just doing everyday stuff and just being like, how on earth do they go about their day together? But one thing I do like about this, and why the goths are now my favorite couple in total drama history, is the fact that even without their makeup on, they still love each other. They still love each other, and it's like, you know what? Well, we're without makeup on, but we still like each other.
yep, and sidestepping temporarily, we have to talk about the rockers in this episode, because Spud ends up spilling the beans on all his weaknesses, being that he's lazy, gullible, and cannot say no to a dare, which is taken advantage of when MacArthur dares him to kiss a baby seal, which then said a baby seal then assaults him.
Yep. And the way Spud wins the air guitar challenge is honestly the most total drama way you could possibly do it.
For context, the challenge after crossing the frozen river and making it to downtown Oulu in Finland, the next challenge is a botcher watch, which involves having to air guitar in front of a crowd. And the Rockers are the last team to arrive. And unfortunately, because since Rock was supposed to pull the rickshaw, Spud has to be the one to perform. Has to be the one to air guitar, but he ends up succeeding by lighting his farts on fire.
I created green green showcase, which gets the audience applaud meter, basically like the applaud meter in Guitar Hero, up to full.
Yep, and for the first and only time, the Rockers take first place.
Yeah, which I've got to say, I don't know. Like the Rockers, I feel like don't really do it for me.
I think there is like an appeal to them, especially with Rock's confessionals and his overuse of sound effects, being like, "Man, it was all lag," and then all ah. But I think the primary comedy comes from Spud, just being like so out of it and probably high. But
Yeah.
I feel like after the reboot, my like opinions of like stoner types has like my standard for those kinds of characters has increased exponentially thanks to the advent of a certain character in the reboot that we will get to.
Okay. All right. So yeah. At the end of this, in this episode, because the goths are just like are just like, we cannot see ourselves like this. They try to quit, but then they're like, no, we're gonna come back and we're gonna rock the hell out of this out of this crowd, because the crowd is just basically consisted of goths.
Yeah, and when Ennui tries to perform the challenge on Goth, one of the crowd members is like, "Get off the stage, you preppy freak!"
And you gotta imagine, like that's just like the biggest insult he's probably ever felt in his life.
Yeah, but they learn to accept each other for who they are. But then they're like, "Oh, hey, look, a golf shop. We can get golfed up again." And do they kick the gothness to 11?
Yes, they do. Okay, so Crimson looks like she's a combination of like Helena Bonham Carter. If it was like, say, Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd with the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, and Enu, and he is trying his best to be like, how much Ozzy Osbourne can I be like in this outfit?
Yeah, and like
I don't know why Ozzy Osbourne was the first one that came to me when I was looking at his outfit.
I personally, when I look at this, I personally think of the band. They're a new metal band. They're called Mudvayne. Well, let me show. I'm gonna pull up a picture and send it to you.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah. So Enu in this episode, they go full golf, and he absolutely dominates the competition here. Like he rocks his heart out. he also has explosions, and he has claws on the end of his hands, and he literally all he has to do is just be like, okay, I need these explosions, and just one string of air guitar is enough to make one of the audience members just pass out from just awesomeness.
Also, I'm pretty sure MacArthur lights somebody on fire.
Yeah, she probably did. Yeah. But also as well, they're the one that they finally tell the ice dancers like, hey, you know that charm you've been carrying around for the past few episodes? Yeah, it's a bad luck charm. So now you have to take that all the way back to Hawaii. Yeah, and you just have shock there, being like, wait, you mean to tell us that this good luck charm is actually cursed? It's like, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't even notice that. Yeah, but in this episode, at the end of it, we also have the twins. The twins getting eliminated because they have severe stage fright.
And one of them gets hives when under stress.
Yeah. So in this episode, the twin boys end up getting eliminated.
Yep. I don't know why, but when I first watched this, I was really into the twins. I could not for the life tell you why.
I think it's just because they have a kind of innocence about them that's kind of endearing, but at the same time, they kind of just fizzled out after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we can move on. We can move on to episode 12, My Way or Zimbabwe.
There's a picture of Mudvayne.
Yeah, especially the hair, like the hair on the guy with the red and black face paint. So yeah, I can kind of see what you mean.
Yeah. But anyways, we're going to Zimbabwe.
Yeah. So the ice dancers start off this episode by being like, okay, we've got rid of our curse. Now let's book it to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, which ends up putting them like way behind.
Oh, absolutely. So the challenge in this episode is that you have to. The main challenge is that you have to get a picture with a rhino. Don't know why that is, but okay.
Well, before getting a picture with a rhino, you have to take a picture going down a waterfall.
Yeah, which I've got to say, Dawn, don't be turning into Chris now.
Mm-hmm. And it's also here where Dwayne Sr.'s overprotectiveness is starting to really bug the fuck out of Junior.
Yeah, and I get it. He's your kid. He's your kid. He's your responsibility. He's only 12. But at the same time, there is a difference between being protective of just being like, hey, don't go over there because there's like this venomous creature that could kill you, to be like, nope, I'm doing everything. You're gonna follow me. Because at the same time, you've had more damage done to you this season than your kid, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also see Dwayne Senior and Junior getting separated.
Yeah, and Dwayne Senior having a meltdown because of it.
Yeah, because he thought Junior got eaten by a lion.
Yeah. Which if anyone's gonna get eaten by a lion, it's gonna be Dwayne Senior.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, Dwayne Jr. actually does pretty well in this challenge on his own. Like he's able to get to the chill zone quite reasonably.
Yeah, but basically Junior on his own like kind of hops around from going with the hater daters to going with the best friends, and he talks to Devin about his crush on Carrie, and Devin's like, "Oh, sorry, dude. Carrie's not really into younger guys."
Yeah,
But hey,
I believe that is the only other time that the crush that Dwayne Jr. has on Kerry is mentioned.
correct.
Yeah. So okay, fair enough. It wasn't as like awkward as it could have been.
Yeah, it's not like Dipper's crush on Wendy from Gravity Falls, which that is totally a show we have to watch. Like,
Yes, I did. Side note, I did have the idea of Gravity Falls and Steven Universe. Because have you seen Steven Universe?
I've seen a bit of Steven Universe. I never finished it, but I do know that show is like kicking a damn beehive. People either really, really love it or really, really hate it.
Okay, we'll have to put that in contention. But yeah, certainly Gravity Falls. I'd be interested in seeing, because wasn't going off topic slightly here for a moment, because wasn't Gravity Falls that season where the creator where the company wanted the creator to do more episodes, and he was like, "No, I've done I've told the story I want to tell, and I don't want to do anymore."
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that is definitely one we should put on the list as one to watch, because it's only like 52 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's relatively short compared to watching all these seasons of Total Drama.
No, it's not even 52. It's 40 episodes. So yeah, it's something we could consider. Yeah.
All right. We'll have to put that in consideration.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the episode. So of course we have. Oh my god! I just got it. I just got the pictures. To the point where people are taking the snapshot. So we have. Kate. We have MacArthur and Sanders. MacArthur is just screaming her eyes out, whereas Sanders is the one screaming her eyes out, whereas MacArthur's just there like gleaming, like this is the best moment of my life. We have Kitty and Emma pretty much having the same reaction, just being like, "We're gonna die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die." We have Brody and Jeff just being like, "Radical dude." And then you just have the cops again just being like, and then those were the only pictures that we saw. So I just love those reactions, especially from the gobs. And of course, Spud and Rock end up getting separated because Spud ends up falling off their raft.
But he is quickly located.
Yeah, and of course, Dwayne Senior is located by the Rockers, and the only reason Dwayne Senior thinks Dwayne Junior is being eaten by a lion is because he asks where Dwayne Junior is, and Rocker is like, "Oh yeah, he's over there," pointing to a lion that's licking its lips. Yeah, and oh my god, I've just heard the line of him of Rock saying, "Maybe it's a vegetarian lion." It's like, we don't need another rewrite of a meat eater being a vegetarian. I'm looking at you, Twilight. Which, oh my god, I would have loved it. If the if in the Transylvania episode, the gods said somebody said to the gods like, "Hey, this would be the perfect moment to watch Twilight," and they're like, "No, those vampires aren't dark enough for us." That would have been just like a funny line to just bash Twilight.
Yep. We also have the ice dancers nearly run over Dwayne Senior.
Which I've got to say, like, any way to make them more detestable, like, yeah, just run over a guy.
In fact, they actually come in last.
Yep.
In this episode.
Yep, but of course it's a non-elimination episode.
Yep.
Which you would think, actually, here's the thing. By the end of the season, like, even Don is getting sick of the ice dancers. So you would think that he would want to get rid of them at the... Like, no, he says at the end of the season, it's been so... I have waited so long to say this, but you guys are out. Like, he could have just eliminated them here. If he really, really, really wanted to.
Well, I have a feeling which episodes were non-eliminations and eliminations were like predetermined.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And like guy's a man of his word.
Yeah, fair enough. Even though he really probably should have gone rid of them.
Mm-hmm. But moving on to episode 13, Shawshank Redemption, which that is the second reference we've had to the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and also the second reference this season that we have to the title drop of the season.
Yep. But we're going to Melbourne, Australia.
Yep. Not Sydney, Australia, which would have been interesting considering I have family over there.
But yeah, we also get introduced to the concept of the boomerang, which is a special item that they can use to force a team to redo a challenge.
Which I've got to say, I love that concept. I do really like that concept. I wish it had been introduced a little bit earlier in the season because it would have been, oh my god, it would have been so painful for the vegans if they had to do the meat eating challenge twice.
Oh, that would have been painful.
Yeah. So yeah, the main challenge in this episode is prison escape. So everyone is locked in a prison cell and they have to escape the cell.
Yep. They can check for secret tunnels. They can check for tools, loose bars.
Like, just basically anything that can get them out of that prison. But this is where we also find a weakness with the ice dancers, because it turns out that that Josh is like a few other characters in the Total Drama franchise, claustrophobic. She suffers from claustrophobia.
Yeah. Also, we see the ice dancers debut new black outfits, which I gotta say, I kind of wish they kept the black outfits.
Yeah. I mean, it would. I believe they say they. I believe they say that. Yeah. They say the purple is too friendly, so they've changed their outfits to black to represent like their evil side. But purple is not is pretty much at times associated with not being very very nice as a color as well, because if you look at, like, say, a film like Unbreakable, I believe the people in purple there are often portrayed as the villains. And also the purple lightsaber in Star Wars, that is indicating, like, because red and blue make purple, so like it's purple in Star Wars is meant to represent, like, okay, this character has aspects of both the light and dark side that they work intertwined with each other. Yeah, that's the canonical explanation for the purple lightsaber. But the real explanation of why we have the purple lightsaber in Star Wars is because of Samuel L. Jackson, because he said to George Lucas, "Can I have a purple lightsaber?"
And he's like, "Sure, fuck it, why not?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!"
No. At first he was like, "Yeah, but lightsabers are red, blue, or green." And he's like, "Yeah, but I want a purple one." He's like, "Okay, you can have a purple one." And the only reason he wanted a purple one was because of that scene in episode 2 of Star Wars where they're all having that big battle in that arena. He's like, I want to be able to find myself in this arena. So he's like, "I have a purple lightsaber." But yeah, onto the episode itself. So yeah, we have in this episode, I feel like this is where we really start to get into a concept that's really been lacking in this season. In this season, that was very prominent in the total drama, in the main total drama series, and that was the alliances. So we have several teams calling truces here, of like being like, okay, we can't get out of this situation, so we'll team up with you just enough to get out of this situation. And of course, because the Ice Dancers are big, snooty, snobby cheaters, they betray MacArthur.
Yep. Because Jose offered to free Sanders and MacArthur if MacArthur stroked their egos, and when she did, they left.
Yep. But also in this episode as well, we have Emma, Kitty, Noah, and Owen teaming up, and of course, because it's Owen, we have to have a reminder of what Chris went through in episode 11 of Revenge of the Island. That being, they have to escape through the toilet into the sewers.
Yep. After Owen went to Browntown.
Yep, after Owen went to Browntown. So yeah, I can imagine Owen, Noah, when they get out of this season, having a few choice words with Owen.
Yeah. We also see the Step Brothers finally getting along.
Finally. It's like we had to sit through 13 episodes of them bickering just for them to finally get at this point halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So, the second half of this challenge, after they get out of the prison, is that they have to do a raft race to get to the Donbot, to give them the next tip that will lead them to the chill zone. But in this episode, we have Jose and Sanders sending both of their teams back to the prison.
Yep, because both of them got boomerangs, and they boomeranged themselves.
Yeah, which it's funny. It's funny that every single time that the boomerang is introduced, somebody ends up using it on themselves in some way.
Yep. Foreshadowing, by the way. But, because they use the boomerang on each other, they now have to face a harder version and go to the toughest cell in the Geelong prison, the Black Hole.
Not the Black Hole! The Black Hole. But Anyway, because the best friends got in first, Devon got to have a phone call with someone that he had all the time in the world until the other teams arrived. So, of course, he used it to call his girlfriend, who ends up breaking up with him.
To date her tennis instructor.
Which, I've got to say, that doesn't sound problematic in the slightest. And I'm being sarcastic because that is very problematic. That is a toxic relationship, and we don't even see his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, anyway, in this episode, it's another non-elimination challenge, which it's the second one in a row.
Which, the fact that it was another non-elimination, that does come back around. Well,
yeah, because I believe in the next episode there is 2 eliminations, isn't there?
Yep, it's a double.
It's a double. So, okay, fair enough. We had 2 non-elimination episodes, and now we're going to get 2 double eliminations in episode 14, Down and Out Back. So we're still in Australia. But in this challenge, we find out that there's a field full of rabbits, and they've been breeding like rabbits. So. Yep. The first part of this challenge is that each team has to collect a sack of 10 rabbits. But there's a special kind of rabbit, which, if I remember correctly, that basically gives them an advantage in the next challenge.
It gives them a free pass to the next challenge.
Yeah.
It's an albino rabbit.
Okay, it's the albino rabbit, and the ice dancers try and trick everyone by disguising one of the regular rabbits as the albino rabbits. But in this episode, we get something very, very incredible happen, because the gobs being the gobs, they are like, no, we don't like cute things. Cute things are bad for us, but you can tell that that in you really is one of those people where they're like, I don't know what it is, but it seems like animals like kind of have that sense of like they know when people are really nice people. And NU's no exception, because the rabbits keep coming to him.
Yeah. And it gets to the point where Crimson and Ennui actually take one of the rabbits and make it their pet. They named him Loki.
Yeah, and he adopts Loki. Oh my god. Can you just imagine if this was one of the rabbits that DJ tried to look after?
We know it wasn't because because its fur color's different, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I would have liked that if it was the same rabbit that DJ tried to be. Oh my god! Can you imagine if it was the same rabbit that DJ tried to befriend in World Tour, but he was cursed? That would be, and then somewhere DJ's foaming at the mouth, thinking like, I was cursed at the time. Why do these guys get to be his owners? But yeah, Loki the rabbit just adopts the golf lifestyle. Like it's like it was his calling in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's nice that they got a rabbit. They got a bunny. They got a bunny. Which I'm amazed that the goths did not have, say, like a black cat with them at all times.
Ennui actually owned a black cat when he
Oh,
was a child
he
named
did.
Toxic Mold.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. And fun fact, my like the first cat we ever had was a black cat.
Oh.
Yeah, called Cleo.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we had a dog as well called Anthony, and you can probably tell what they're a reference to.
Nope.
Anthony and Cleopatra.
Oh.
Yeah, because I asked my parents that one time, and they were like, "Yeah, that was the reference we were going for."
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, they have a rabbit who is a complete badass because Loki literally later on in the episode jumps into the mouth of a lion.
Well, that's a later, in a later episode.
Yeah, in a later episode, but I just thought I'd bring it up right now because I just love that little. He's adorable, and I want to give him all the pets.
He does deserve all the pets.
Yeah. So the next part of the challenge is after they collect all the bunnies, they have to compete in a all in, and in this challenge, the teams must fly a glider from Australia to New Zealand, where the next chill zone lies. And of course, Spud mucks it up for the Rockers because he ends up crashing the glider into a mountain.
Mm-hmm. Also, Lorenzo and Chet somehow mistake a kangaroo for an albino rabbit.
Which, okay, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, but it reminds me, that whole thing reminded me so much of the film Food Fight, where they kept calling a rat in that film a fat cat. No, it was a fat cat, a cat being called a fat rat. And it's just like, seriously, you two, you can't tell the difference between a rabbit and a kangaroo?
That's like mistaking a bear for a beetle.
Was the whole idea because of the fact that they jump up and down that counted in their eyes? But in that case, that's like confusing a cat for a dog because they're both common pets. Like put I swear to God, put Harley and Jem in a room, and I'd ask the brothers, be like, okay, which one is the cat, which one is the dog? I imagine they'll be like, oh, Jem's the dog, and Harley's the cat. It's like, no.
But funnily enough, the stepbrothers end up finding the albino rabbit and get to just go on to the next part. Go to the glider challenge, where the kangaroo somehow follows them.
Like, that kangaroo has to be like related to Fang in some way, or at least watched Revenge of the Iron and thought like, right, I'm gonna be like that. I'm gonna be like this shark and just follow these people all around.
Yeah, but it was actually between the Rockers and the Stepbrothers it was like a photo finish. And it turns out the Rockers just barely beat the Stepbrothers. But because it was a double elimination, it did not matter.
Yeah. But again, Ridonculous Race brought something good out of it. Ched and Lorenzo finally getting along. And they even invite Rock and Spud at the end of the episode, like, hey, you want to come and play video games with us? Like, which I could just imagine these four setting up their own band together.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird because I imagine like Lorenzo and Chet are around 13 to 14, and Rock and Spud are in their 20s, maybe even 30s.
Or at the very least, like Spud and Rock offering to be tutors for them to get into music.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and then we see them having a music off with the band consisting of Harold and them lot.
Huh. That would be interesting.
There we go. A musical elimination show with Harold and his
And the
lot
drama
versus versus Rock, Spud, Lorenzo, and Chet.
brother. That would be interesting. But moving on to the next episode, Maori or Less, where we are in New Zealand.
Yeah, which actually they're gonna which of course with them being in New Zealand, naturally the episode is gonna focus on find the Hobbit. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Well, uh, the main challenge is with an either or, where you could either jump down off a bridge to catch a fish with your bare hands, or jump around, performing a traditional Maori dance.
Which I've got to say, I definitely take the dance over the jump.
Yeah, same here. Oh yeah. Last episode, the ice dancers came in first, and they did so again because they completed the jump around portion with the greatest of ease.
Yep. Yes, they did, and it's annoying to see them in first all the time. But in this episode, we have Devon reaching the second stage of being heartbroken, which is anger. Which I could just imagine him just off screen, just being like that giraffe in Robot Chicken, being like second stage anger, going, "Well, this is just effing perfect."
That would be funny.
Yeah. But also in this episode, we have Emma putting her relationship with Noah on hold because she's like, I need to focus and you're distracting me.
Yeah, which breaks Noah's heart because he thinks he's been dumped.
Yeah. Which, no, Noah, you haven't been dumped.
We also have Dwayne Senior trying to
Be hip with the kids. Yeah.
Yep.
By getting a tattoo, unaware that it is actually a woman's tattoo.
Yep. We also see him just being like, "Yeah, what's up, dudes?"
Like, no. The way every single time, like, adults do that, like, and I'm speaking about this as an adult now, every single time someone does that, it's just like, oh, seriously, do you have to do it that way?
The more you try to be cool, the less cool you end up.
Yes, just be yourself.
I will say. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say as well. We also have them racing to get on a train at the beginning of the episode to kind of get to the location.
Yep.
And again, by the end of this episode, Dom reveals that it's yet another non-elimination because we haven't had enough of those already.
Yep.
Which, like I said, I feel like the non-eliminations wouldn't be as annoying if they were spread out. It's not the fact that there are so many of them. It's just where they're placed. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe if they were more spread out evenly throughout the season, it wouldn't have been as distracting as it was. But the fact that we have like non-elimination, then we have a double elimination, and then we have another non-elimination, it's like it's too much.
I can get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. So, did you have anything else to say on this episode?
Nah, not really. This
No.
one kind of well, oh wait. There is one line from Jose when Stephanie was taunting the ice dancers. She's like, "I may just turn the other cheek," and she pointed to her ass, and I thought that was funny.
Okay, that was pretty funny. But anyway, moving on to episode 16, Little Boy on the Prairie.
Yep, we're going.
AKA the episode with a lot of eating, and a lot of throwing up.
Yep. This time we are going to
Alberta. We're going back to Canada. The first time in 16 episodes.
Yep, we're going back to Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada.
And we find out in this episode that Dwayne and Junior bond over a specific season of Total Drama. Now, naturally, you would think like, oh, they're watching either Revenge of the Island or Action or even World Tour. Nope, it's none of those. It's Pocket Tail Island.
It was probably airing it around the same time.
Yeah. Which you would think, like in universe, like if I was gonna like make the timeline for this, I would have put like Ridonculous race in that time slot between like Revenge of the Island and All Stars, because then it would have made sense for in universe, like because Chris is in jail at this point.
But
yeah, so the main challenge of this episode is that they have to is that the challengers have to eat an entire bucket of beans, and then go ahead.
I was about to say both members of the team have to contribute, but I could probably do that by myself. That's like easiest challenge ever.
Yeah, and Owen could definitely do it by himself, but that's not the whole challenge. The other part of the challenge is that they have to survive 7 seconds, not 7 seconds, it was 7 minutes, wasn't it?
No, it was 8 seconds on a mechanical bull.
Oh, 8 seconds on a mechanical ball, which you think would be easy, but this ball just like it's just like one of those balls that just won't like it's like it's like one of those mechanical balls where you skip the building up portion and you just go straight into like the rocking around and throwing everyone around stage. Yeah. Which makes the challenge a lot more harder than it really is.
But despite some trouble with the bull, the surfer dudes actually managed to get first because the Goths found a skull rotting in the sun.
Yes. And also, we have Devon not shutting up, so I put, shut up, Devon. Like, just get over her already.
Because Devon is in the third stage of grief. Bargaining. Where he's basically like, I'll do anything to get her back.
And it's like, you've got a perfectly good woman there with you that you can't see the signs. But anyway, one of the funniest moments in this episode is at the end when the surfers actually win for the first time, and they are just there being like, we won, and Don, and they're just there with Don like, oh, come on, get in here. And it is literally, I kid you not, I said this when we were watching the episode that okay, in this image, I'm Brody, my eldest brother is Jeff, and my second eldest brother is Don here because the second eldest brother has that face that Don makes in this episode. I'm just there like, yep, that is him. That is my brother down to a T. I'm just being like, oh my god, do I have to go through this?
But unfortunately, the father and son team get eliminated.
But again, it was. But again, they admit like, hey, this was a pretty good thing that we did together. And it is nice when you have like parents and kids doing stuff together for potentially a good cause.
Yep.
But now Dwayne Senior is gonna have to grow a beard to hide that tattoo, whilst also going back to bond over Pockettail Island.
Mm-hmm. And as for us, we move on to episode 17, Lord of the Ring. Toss.
Good one, Tyler. Good one, Tyler.
Thank you. This time we're going to the Arctic Circle.
Which you'd think with a title like that you would think that the best challenge to the best location to do this challenge would be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Not sure why why it was the Arctic Circle. If you I mean, a better title would have been probably like Blizzard of Toss or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, the challenge for this episode might seem like a simple challenge. It's basically you've got a ring toss, but you've got a ring toss onto the horn of a narwhal. Which I've got to say, have you ever seen a narwhal in real life?
I have not seen a narwhal in real life. I've seen them in picture, though.
Yeah. I would honestly pay to see one. Like, I definitely would like to see a narwhal.
Same here.
But I'm curious, like how the horn came to be like that.
Evolution.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah,
because I think they break apart ice with their horn.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, they have to dig to find the rings and toss it onto the narwhal, which may seem simple enough, but again, this is a narwhal. It's a moving creature, so it moves completely out of the way half the time.
Yep, and we have the ice dancers trying to get into the heads of the surfers.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead.
I would say the only problem is that they don't have much of a head to get into to begin with.
Yeah, which would be funny, except except for anyone that's seen the other seasons of Total Drama, we know that Jeff does have a head that he gets in that can get into. All they have to do, like if the ancestors were smart, they would have like gone and watched Total Drama, see Bridget be like, I have a boyfriend, and basically told Jeff like, hey, Bridget's been flirting with Alejandro again.
But we see that there's another boomerang that's going to be in play. And the haters actually get it, and they use it on themselves.
Yes, because Stephanie is an idiot, and she's gotten so fed up with Ryan that she just uses it on themselves. Just because I believe it was like Ryan was like getting frustrated at the narwhal because it just wouldn't like get the ring toss, and then Stephanie was like, "Fine, if you want me to do it, I'll do it and show you how easy it is." And she eventually learns out that, hey, it's not as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah. Oh, well, it starts with them arguing. Stephanie argues that they should wait for another team to boomerang, and Ryan's like, no, because the Goths are ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, were you going to say something else?
No. But
Yeah.
this does lead to the haters boomeranging themselves, and since Ryan already did the ring toss, now Stephanie has to do the ring toss.
Yep. So now Stephanie can realize that, oh, I was being a complete bitch then. But so the next part of the challenge is after they've done the ring toss is that they have to do a snowmobile to a particular point in the Arctic where an Eskimo is. And the challenge of the second part of the challenge is that they've got to build an igloo to the Eskimo standards. Yeah, and I just I love I love what the Goths do in this do with this. They literally just build a skull out of ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have MacArthur, MacArthur, and we have the cadets and the haters basically finishing last because again Stephanie is being an absolute bitch and just being like hey, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way, do it that way. But again, one of the funniest moments in this episode is when because we have Don with a snowman called Chili Billy, and Jose ends up destroying it, and Don does Wrath of Khan style, screams to the high heavens. But of course, this ends up again being another non-elimination.
So the haters are safe.
For now.
For now.
Yeah. Which leads us on to episode 18, Got Venom. So it means we are in Indonesia to face Komodo dragons. And in this episode, I think the funniest moment from the episode is, I believe it's Brody and Jeff who mistake Komodo dragons for actual dragons, like the fire-breathing type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I just find like, okay, Jeff is not that stupid. So they have to collect the venom of a Komodo dragon in this episode, and Owen has the smart but absolutely I have not thought this out plan of dressing up like a Komodo dragon. Which causes one of the Komodo dragons to think that he's an actual Komodo dragon.
And he also kisses a Komodo dragon and names him Chewie.
Yeah, which you'd think that he would get poisoned badly after that. But again, this is Owen we're talking about here.
Yeah. And the cadets get chased by Komodo dragons until they end up stuck in a tree, where Sanders confesses to getting a burger and fries, but not paying for the fries because the cashier forgot and she didn't go back.
Which, hey, it's not your fault, MacArthur. You can't blame yourself for something that a cashier made a mistake on.
And MacArthur reveals like that to a laundry list of crimes And
Which half of them, from what I remember her saying, were just like petty crimes.
yeah, she mentioned that she's been smuggling fruit across the border since she was 5, and that her real name is Valentina Escobar.
Like, how is that a crime?
I don't know, maybe she.
Valentina, I get Valentina Escobar. Huh. I don't get it. Like, what's the
I think
crime behind it?
there's actually like a crime lord with the last name Escobar.
Oh, right. But also the second part of this challenge is after they get the Komodo venom, they have to find a specific rug in a pile of rugs that will allow them to safely passage to the next episode. And because Noah gets stuck in the rugs, unfortunately, this is where Owen and Noah end up getting eliminated.
Yep.
Which I've got to say, this I feel like was the right time for them to go.
Agreed.
I knew going into this season that Owen probably wasn't going to win because it would have been super like predictable to have him win again.
Yeah, but we see Noah mention the next episode, the next season of before it goes to static, which was probably hinting at a total drama season before the reboot.
Well, hey, it could potentially still happen. Total drama, Revenge of the Legends. Which if that's the case, it'll be interesting to see if they do like a Legends of Veterans season of Total Drama, like who they would actually bring back. Like personally, for a team of veterans, I would bring back like 12 with 4 from each era of the show. So like 4 from 4 from the original cast, 4 from Revenge, and 4 from Pucktail.
Interesting. But move it. Also with this episode, the Goths apparently can talk to animals by linking with them.
Oh my god, now I really want that to be like a Legend season just so that I can have the Goths interact with Dawn from Revenge of the Island.
That would be interesting.
And it will be like, oh, I see your aura. Oh, your aura is very blue. You're very good. And the Goths being like, no, we're dark as cold as we're dark and black. No, you're blue. Stop it. That would be funny. But anyway, moving on to episode 19, Doom Buggies. Doom Buggies. We all love our Doom Buggies. So in this episode, we have basically the main challenge being there's 2 main challenges here. So it's another either or. So we have either you one of you drives the Doom Buggy, and one of you drives in the Doom Buggy, and one of you uses remote control, or a magic trick where you have to make yourself disappear from a box with a lion in. Which I've got to say, and I said this when we watched it, the fact that they're in Las Vegas, there's a magic trick involved, and the judge isn't Penn and Teller.
Maybe they were busy. Maybe they had to wash their socks or something.
Maybe, but it feels weird that they didn't do that.
Yeah, but I think like my favorite part at least with the people that did the magic trick, is Jacques coming out in the assistant's dress, which he absolutely nails, but also the Goths failed attempt at the magic trick, and then they're just like staring at the judge.
And the judge is there like, okay, you win.
Oh yeah, and this is where Loki jumps into the lion's mouth.
Yeah. and they literally just pull Loki out of the lion's mouth.
Which allows them to take first for the second time in a row.
Yeah. Which, hey, congratulations, Goths.
Yep.
But also as well with the Doom Buggy challenge, I feel like Jeff and Brody really went overboard here.
Yeah, because they were the first to arrive to the Dune Buggies, and even though they were the first to arrive, they ended up in 5th place.
Yeah, because they wanted to have a lot of fun with the Doom Buggy. Which, hey, I've got if you had a Doom Buggy like that, wouldn't you want to do everything with it?
I would.
Yeah.
The Ice Dancers and Best Friends end up switching challenges. With the Ice Dancers going from magic to buggies, and the Best Friends going from buggies to magic. It's also at this point where Carrie's starting to get a little fed up with Devin.
Which, thank God. Because there's only so much one can take.
Yep. And she decides she's done with him. She is moving on.
And this is where Devin finally gets going from no clue to getting it when he finally realizes, like, oh wait, Kelly actually loves me.
Well, actually, she doesn't. He doesn't know Carrie loves her. He knows that he's in the Carrie now.
Yeah, too little, too late, Devin. You had your chance and then you blew it.
Yep, and for as long as they're in the race, their roles are now reversed.
Mm-hmm. And this all comes to a head where we have both teams racing to the chill zone with the Icelanders making it first, but again, another non-elimination round, so the Best Friends are still in it.
But now we move on to episode 20, El Bunny Supremo.
Which I've got to say, that is probably the single most badass title ever.
Where we're going to Acapulco, Mexico.
Yeah.
Ole.
Where they have to experience really hot peppers. So the main challenge for the main part of this challenge is that the contestants have to eat a pepper. One of them has to eat a pepper, and then the other has to do a dive. So the person who eats the hottest pepper, the partner gets the easy jump, but the person who eats the least hot pepper, the partner gets the hardest jump, which is a jump of a cliff into water again.
This time they have to grab canteens filled with milk to soothe the mouth of the person who ate the pepper.
Which I've got to say, what would you rather do, the pepper or the dive?
Pepper.
So I guess if it was us two in it, I'd be doing the dive then. And you better eat the hot pepper, because there is no way I'm jumping off a high cliff.
Oh, I'll eat 20 of the hot peppers if it means I don't have to dive, because I am afraid of heights and I am a poor swimmer.
Okay, yeah, I guess that means I'd be doing the diving then. But yeah, during this challenge, we have Ryan decide to help out the Best Friends with their situation, because Ryan knows a thing or two about being in a complicated, borderline toxic relationship. And even though Crimson manages to eat the spiciest pepper with ease, the Goths realize that Loki is missing. And they're like, we care about our bunny, but we're not going to show it. So they end up spending all the time looking for Loki, which causes them to lose in the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
And even though the ice dancers are gloating again about the Goths winning, Loki gives them the last laugh, because as the Goths are walking away, we see Loki basically giving them like, "You are dead," look, which scares the pants off of them.
yeah.
Yeah. And again, even though the Goths are still talking in that monotone, they've admitted that they've enjoyed visiting some locations, and they wish the ice dancers get what they deserve.
Yep. But another thing about the ice dancers is that they actually receive a penalty because they made. Because even though Sanders made it to the chill zone without MacArthur, the ice dancers showed up to the chill zone without their mules. Because once they get the canteen, they then have to ride mules to the chill zone. And because of the ice dancers' 10-minute penalty, the cadets come in first.
Which means the ice dancers are in their least favorite position, second. Which just is so satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we also see Jeff and Brody being slowed down by eating some sketchy burritos.
Which if it was Owen, he'd probably use the burrito power to propel him to first place.
Probably.
Yeah. But moving on to episode 21, canoodling. Which I've got to say, that's probably the best pun.
Where we're going to Canto, Vietnam.
Yeah. Where for the first time, the teams have to cooperate, as the ice dancers horribly say.
Yep, where 3 teams have to form a super team to catch 6 catfish. But there's also a special catfish branded with the Ridonculous race logo. If they get that catfish, they get what is called a zip it ticket, where they can skip the next challenge and go directly to the chill zone.
Which, thank God, it's only used once.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we have basically what has amounted to the antagonistic teams forming an alliance this season. So we have the cadets, we have the ice dancers, and we have the haters forming an alliance.
And we also have an alliance between a super team being formed of the surfers, sisters, and best friends.
Yeah. Because in the last episode, Devon ate the spicy peppers so much that he went blind. What did they end up calling themselves? The teams.
We just have the villainous teams are called
Axis of Evil.
Yeah, that's what evil. But
so the Axis of Evil uses Devon's blindness to their advantage by having him bring a crocodile to the canoe, who ends up eating all the catfish.
But then Brody ends up performing the Heimlich on the crocodile to regurgitate the catfish.
Like, who does the Heimlich on a crocodile?
I guess Brody on multiple occasions apparently.
Yeah. Um. So, and then we have the evil. We have the axis of evil getting the superfish, so they end up going to the zip, going to the
Chill
chill
zone.
zone. And also Brody confirms that he's the worst uncle ever, considering he pretty much flat out says that he allowed his sister's kid to be eaten by a crocodile. But I think the funniest line, the moment that stuck out for me in this episode was Jose saying, "I was not born with that gene, the cooperating gene," and I'm just there thinking like you work in a pair with ice as an ice skating pair. Like, what are you even talking about? I don't know why, but that just made me laugh so hard. I was not born with that gene. So anyway, because because the best friends are being are being are basically having a hard time. The surfer dudes do the honorable thing and let them pass, so the surfer dudes end up getting eliminated here.
Yep.
Which I've got to say, Jeff, don't go. You were awesome, man. But as we find out, we'll see them again in a few episodes.
Yep. But for now, moving on to episode 22. How deep is your love? We're going to Siberia.
So, how deep is your love, Tyler?
For my partner, I'd say about as deep as it is here from here to the Earth's core.
Oh, I suppose for my family it would be the same. Oh, but yeah. So in this child, as Tyler said, we're going to Siberia, which is in that country which we will not mention because of certain real life events at the moment.
Fuck you, Putin.
Yep. We're not going to mention the name of the country, but anybody who knows it knows it. So Devon is being an idiot here, as he has been for the past few episodes. But before we get into that, we have the teams basically having to rush through the snow of Siberia in their it was in their swimsuits, weren't they?
Yeah, they were riding ice yachts in their swimsuit.
Which I've got to say, that must be so uncomfortable to do.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point? What was really the point of that? I guess it was probably just to show that MacArthur thinks that polka dot shorts are bullet holes.
I guess. But we also it's also here where MacArthur ends up getting her tongue stuck to a trash can.
Stuck to a trash can. She fell for every little thing that they said. Ooh, sad. She ended up hurting her partner's soul. Ooh, so she ended up with her mashing a trash can, mashing a trash can with her tongue. It's kind of funny that in this season I've been able to make two references to World Tour. The obvious one being with Owen, and this one with the stuck to a trash can.
Yep. We also see the ice dancer sabotaging the cadet's ice yacht. By sabotaging the brakes.
Yep. So they have to get the yacht to a hole where the Dawn bot is, where we have another botcher watch.
Yep, where I don't think I don't think it's a botcher watch per se. It's just that one of them has to collect a ball in in an underground cavern.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
Yep, because they got
Oh, go ahead.
Yep, one of the teammates of each team must be harnessed and cranked down a 7-mile hole to retrieve a red ball and then proceed to the chill zone.
Yeah, which you've got to say that is probably one of the easiest. This challenge, despite the ice yacht, is probably one of the easiest challenges that has happened so far. Because it's literally point A to point B, then you have to collect something in a hole, and then go from point A to point B again.
I mean, you're taking a 7-mile drop to find a red ball in a cave.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be a cave full of Siberian tigers.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, in this episode, again, the ice dancers are big snooty cheaters. So they are like, oh, we're gonna steal the ball off Kitty and break her headlamp, because Jose is basically being a claustrophobic freak and being like, okay, I'm going down, let me back up.
She's claustrophobia. Of course she's gonna be weird like that.
I know. But it's like one of those things, but she does it so often that it's just like, okay, all you have to do is say to her, take a deep breath, just close your eyes, and then get it over with. Yeah. So yeah, and because of that, they end up getting another penalty because, as the rules explain, they have to go in the cave. Jose didn't technically go down the cave fully, so they get it's a 20-minute penalty.
It's a 30-minute penalty.
Oh, 30-minute penalty. And Kerry, to her credit, helps out Kitty by being like, okay, I've got my ball. I need to go back up. You take my headlamp. You find your ball. Which we're gonna say, very good on UK for doing that.
But not so good on MacArthur for basically letting Sanders take a 7-mile drop and breaking her arm.
Yeah, after she ripped her tongue off the trash can, which I'm gonna say, ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, because she basically used the trash can as a brake.
Yeah,
or as like an anchor.
Yeah, and at the end of this episode, we have Dom basically calling it a non-elimination, but he gives Sanders and MacArthur the option, like, Sanders, you got a broken arm, so do you want to withdraw from the competition due to injuries? And Sanders is just like, I'm not a quitter, so I'm gonna stay, but under the one condition that MacArthur lets her be in charge now.
Yeah, like I actually remember, like, I did not like MacArthur originally because of how badly she treats Sanders. But I don't know. I think after watching the series, watching this again, like I'm slowly but surely warming up to MacArthur.
I guess it might be because of the fact that she's like the more outspoken one of the group, so therefore she can come across as a bit like forceful at times.
Yeah, especially like taking all the credit for what Sanders does, and like taking all the credit, accepting no responsibility, and being a nuisance to Sanders.
Yeah, yeah. But with that, we're moving on to episode 23, Dargel with it.
Yep, we're going to Darjeeling, India.
Yeah. And so the main point of this challenge is that they've got to collect tea leaves at first before having to travel by train to the chill zone. But it's not just a regular train journey. They have to fight through the carriages to get to the front of the train.
Yep. And Jock and Jose decide to be, as Luke put it, snotty little cheaters by disconnecting the rest of the train from them,
forcing everyone else to band together to get to the front of the train. So in this episode, we see the haters finally return to being the daters.
Though they ultimately end up being the suckers because they end up being eliminated. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that point. We'll get to that point of stupidity from them. So apparently, Steph can't get the bottle top of ketchup. How?
She has a hard time asking for help, and when she couldn't get the bottle top off of the ketchup, she broke a fork, a chair, and a table.
Over ketchup of all things. Well, hey, if it was Pikachu, I could understand. But yeah, so apparently, in this episode as well, we see that Kitty swallowed the chicken, and MacArthur literally takes a bull by the horns.
And Devin takes a goat to the groin.
Not just a goat, he takes a tree to the groin. Which, again, Tyler, how can you be like laughing at that? Has got to be painful for Devin.
It's both painful and funny.
Yeah. But anyway, so really, most of this episode consists of just the teams like trying to get through to the train, but also as well, Emma finally revealing to Devin that Kerry is in love with him. Like, it literally took her telling him, like, hey, that girl is into you.
And like when Devin's like, I'm in love with Kerry, Kenny's like, you kidding me? Starts smacking the shit out of Devin, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like we've spent this whole entire series of you pining for one woman, then going for another woman, not doing anything about it. But anyway, at the end of this episode, the daters, because Dawn makes it clear, like, hey, where's the rest of the train? The skaters get a 60-minute penalty, which has them pretty much gritting their teeth for the first time because they're like, oh my god, are we going to lose at this point? But of course, the daters have to be enough at that one moment where they're literally near the chill zone. Like, they couldn't just move a couple of inches further before they started their kissing.
Yep, and that sends Stephanie and Ryan packing. Probably packing their duffel bags to go to the gym because Steph wants some deadlifts from Ryan.
Oh, absolutely. But and now, go on.
I'm about to say, they're probably not going to last very long before they end up becoming the haters again.
Yeah, they're probably not going to last very long. But anyway, moving on to episode 24, Last Tango in Buenos Aires.
Yep.
Yeah, where we're going to Argentina to partake in a challenge filled with tango and rodeo.
Yep. The first challenge involves each team having having to recreate a tango, and then once they do that, they have to ride on horseback to to te- to wrangle an emu.
Yeah. And most of them, because the skate the ice dancers are the ice dancers, they breeze through the first challenge and end up trying to eliminate the sisters by greasing up their emu. But because Shock is an idiot and didn't realize, like, hey, if I grease this up, I'm gonna get grease on me. So it takes him a while to wrestle with his emu.
And even his horse.
And even his horse as well. Uh, which by the way, uh, which by the way, ridden a horse twice in my life. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. But the but seriously, with the tango challenge, the thing that I really took away from that was seriously MacArthur twerking.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why did you think that would be a good idea? But then again, this is the same person who would literally shout a horse to move. Where it's like, that's not how you get a horse to move, MacArthur.
Yeah. And it's also this point where the pining stops. Devin admits that he's in love with Carrie, and they kiss.
Finally. What could possibly go wrong here? Oh, they'll find a way to make it go wrong. But the one thing I want to say about this episode is just like the amount of falling off of the horses here. Yeah, in any other situation, Shock would most likely be dead.
Yeah.
And I'm only speaking from experience here.
Also, Carrie gets kicked by the horse.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm only speaking from real life situation here because my auntie, my mum's sister, she fell off a horse and that's how she died.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, any other situation, Shock would be dead. So yeah. Anyway, as we were saying before we get really depressed here, Devon finally admits that he's in love with Courtney, not Courtney, Kerry. Kerry kisses him, and but at this point, the sisters end up causing Devon to fall off a cliff, breaking every bone in his body.
Yep, which means that they are going to be unable to continue, but Carrie chooses the Surfers to take their place in the Final Four.
Which I've got to say, that was very nice of her. Like, they saved them, so now they're returning the favor. So we have Brody and Jeff back in the race.
Yep.
Which leads us into... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, they'll be returning in episode 25, Bahamarama.
Which, hey, maybe that's a sign that we should do Total Drama Rama. I'm sorry, Tyler. I had to get one more in.
Yep. This time, we're heading to Nassau in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and of course, the Don Bot has to be dressed up like a pirate.
Yep. Where they have to look for a treasure map in the pirate museum and dive for underwater treasure.
Yeah. Now, the thing that really confuses me about this episode is MacArthur saying that, well, of course, she reveals that she no longer likes Brody due to his weight gain. because he was eating a lot of burritos. But also as well, MacArthur not believing in pirates, and I'm just there scratching my head like, piracy still exists even today, MacArthur.
Yeah, like pirates.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta admit, I was a little boggled by that too. But go ahead.
But anyway, so after they found the map, they have to ride by jet ski to an island where it's another botch or watch. So one of them has to do a cave dive into finding treasure coins or booty. But it's treasure coins so that we can keep things simple so that Brody can understand it. So anyway, we have Kitty being the one to dive down to the treasure, but she ends up getting screwed over again by not by Jose this time, but by a fish that ends up eating her flashlight. So she ends up going further into the cave and ends up getting stuck between two rocks. And of course, we have Jose running out of oxygen very rapidly, so that because she's having freakouts, and MacArthur, against her better judgment, is like, you know what? I'm gonna help you save your life. But of course, Jose and Shock have to be dicks and not return the favor. And this is where Shock finally starts to get fed up with Jose's attitude as well. But I will say the highlight for this episode is just Emma being so encouraging of Kitty. I'll just be like, you are brave. You are strong. And Kitty ends up finding a way to get out of the predicament she's in, because she spent all the time when she was younger holding her breath, that she can hold it for 4 minutes without problem, and this is what ends up saving her life. And even though they do end up getting eliminated here, they admit that they had a really good experience with each other. And of course, Emma is subtly hitting that she's going to call Noah.
Yep. But now we have our final three: surfers, police cadets, and the ice dancers racing to New York
at the final hurdle, which ends up being a taxi. Okay, it starts off with them getting to New York and then having to get a taxi to the Empire State Building. Which I've got to say, seeing the cadets in the hot dog car, that's hilarious. Even though you're not a fan of hot dogs,
that is very funny.
Yeah. So we have the cadets, and the ice dancers getting stuck in a traffic jam, whilst the server dudes are way ahead. So the police cadets are able to get out of this traffic jam because Sanders can imitate a police siren perfectly down to the T. But of course, after this point, we have the horrors of this episode, the horrors that I never thought were possible. Because this is the final episode, we see a few cameos. So the first one we see is Anne-Marie passing by with Donald Trump, or it could have been Boris Johnson, but it's most likely Donald Trump because it's America. But then we see the horrors. That is Chris McLean. We see Chris McLean reading a newspaper. It's like, no, Chris does not deserve to be in this episode.
Yeah, but uh, once what once they get to the Empire State Building, they have to climb up all the stairs and nab a briefcase. Bro, Brody, uh, Brody's calf sees up on him, so he eats a spoiled banana.
Yeah, which ew, ew.
Yeah.
So so they have to take the briefcase to Central Park, and it turns out that the server dudes and the cadets are the first ones to get there, meaning that Dawn happily tells the ice dancers that they are eliminated and ranked in first place. No, in third place.
Yep.
So the ice dancers got what was coming to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the final part of this challenge and the final part of the season involves them having to go to a boathouse to get a boat and go out to get some buoys, because on the buoys are combinations to the briefcases that gives them a map to their destination. And it's literally the second half of the episode is literally just the teams just finding the combination and then just racing to the end. There's literally no obstacles in the way. So even though it is tense, it's not really as thrilling as it could be, if that makes sense.
Yep. And once they find the combinations, it's a mad dash to the finish before, depending on what country you live in, the surfers or the cadets win.
Okay, I would like to ask you, who would you consider the winners of this season?
Honestly, I gotta say the cadets.
Okay, you're saying the cadets, I'm saying the surfers, for one reason and one reason only. Jeff really, and I've said this before, Jeff really didn't have a really good run in Total Drama, so I want to give him a break and let him win. Even though logically it should be the cadets, like I said, I'm going with my heart for Jeff because he deserves the win. He deserves the win.
I can concur. However, I think the cadets earned their win.
Yeah, the cadets definitely deserve. Either one deserves their win. But I do like at the end where they're just like throwing the money up in the air, and Don's like, "Yeah, throw your money around."
Very smart.
Yeah, and with that, the race is over, or is it? Because Don does hint that there may be other Ridonculous race seasons to come in the future.
But so far, we haven't gotten any.
We haven't got any, which actually would, if we were gonna do like a Total Drama reunion series, I would pretty much like it to be in the style of the Ridonculous race. Like, I don't know how it would work, but it would be interesting to see. But yeah, overall this season was pretty fun to sit through and watch.
I agree.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say this, Vex, but this might be one of my favorite seasons. Even though it's technically a spin-off series, it certainly was much more enjoyable than. I will say this: it is much more enjoyable than the whole of season 5 of Total Drama, 100%. Which, to be fair, that is not hard. That is not a hard thing to dispute, because it's season 5 of Total Drama.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess. And we are coming up on close to 3 hours 40. Like this is probably the second longest video we've done for this franchise.
I think it's the longest video we've
No,
done.
I think Total Drama the Total Drama Island is going to be longer because I think that's 3 minutes and 40, but this is probably the second longest. So yeah, I guess now that we're done with Total Drama, we can take a little bit of break before deciding what we're going to tackle next.
Yes. So for a little bit of transparency in our plans, we will be tackling the first season of the reboot once all of it is done airing in the United States. You can catch the first episode of the Total Drama reboot on June 1st. That's a Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Cartoon Network. If you do not live in the U.S., you can catch it on Teletoon Plus. You can catch it on BBC iPlayer if you live in the UK, like Luke, or if you live out in Australia, you can catch it on, I believe it's
Pluto TV.
No, hold on. Oh, hold on. Official. Yeah. You could find it on ABC iView if you live down under. And for
Okay.
us in the US, it'll be on Max June 2nd. New episodes every Sunday. So
Okay.
be sure to go support the reboot if as it airs, stream it, watch it live, have it in the background while you're folding your socks or some shit. I don't know. I don't care. But show Fresh TV you want more Total Drama.
Yes.
Because we could potentially be getting a third season of the reboot, and that would be very epic.
Yeah, it would. But until then, and until next time, on what we decide to do for watching through franchises, peace.
Peace.